Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I am Jason Whitlock, your host. Happy Monday. It is a special Monday. We got a new president just around the corner, just hours away. We got a lot to do today, and we're going to try to do a lot and cover a lot of ground. We want to give you those great sports takes that you count on us for. But man, oh man, we got to cover this relaunch, this reboot of this great American experiment today. Donald Trump's going to be inaugurated. We're going to talk about it. We will be here live and with you for the next 3 hours. We're going to start talking a little football and some sports. We'll bring in Steve Kim in about 15, 20 minutes. TJ Moe is here in studio with me as well. We'll bring in some butter. We'll bring in some Shemeka Michelle. But in this first hour or so, we're going to cover the National Football League and what went on in the football world, a little bit of a preview into tonight's national championship game, Notre Dame, Ohio State. But we're all going to do it under the theme of it's a new day. And we have a new president who's getting inaugurated today. And many of us have been waiting for this day for a long, long time. Many of us have been waiting 4 years for this day. And it's a day of celebration, and it's a day of optimism. And that's where I'm going to begin by talking about yesterday's divisional or semifinal playoff games in the National Football League, Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens. And what I hope is a washing out of the old and a washing in of the new. We got to wash out the race clowns who tried to turn Josh Allen versus Lamar Jackson into a race war. And the race clowns have interfered with those of us that just want to enjoy Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. And the race clowns, I'm primarily talking about, not primarily, but I'm primarily talking about the guys on ESPN, and I'm primarily talking about the leader of the race clowns. He wears that big RC brooch on his jackets, the race clown, Ryan Clark. He nearly ruined a magical football game for a lot of people. I don't think people can properly appreciate Lamar Jackson because they've been baited into the race war that the race clowns want us evaluating all of sports through. And when I look at Donald Trump and the hope and optimism that he's ushering in today with his inauguration and what's going on in his inauguration, and we'll talk about this later in the show, in the second half, the last 2 hours of the show, hey, Snoop Dogg's called a brand new religion. He went from anybody that supports Donald Trump as a coon and a clown and blah, 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 to now he's performing for Donald Trump. And so I'm hoping that Donald Trump is going to move us away from these racial wars that Joe Biden, Barack Obama have leaned us into. Because I look at yesterday's game, and I look at what Lamar Jackson did in the second half of that game in terms of bringing Baltimore all the way back. That game should have went to overtime. There was a lot of momentum, in my view, in Baltimore's direction. I'm not someone that thinks automatically, hey, they scored a touchdown, get the 2-point conversion, 90 seconds left, two timeouts for Buffalo. Josh Allen's going to get them this field goal, and the game's going to end in regulation. I'm not one of those people. I thought there was so much momentum headed Baltimore's way and in Baltimore's way that entire second half that they would have got the stop, the game would have went to overtime, and Baltimore would have won that game, and we would all be sitting here talking about, holy cow, what a comeback by Lamar Jackson. They were down 21-10 at halftime, and he brought them all the way back, and he overcame his mistakes. He overcame Mark Andrews' fumble. What an incredible performance. He just stamped himself like, okay, you want to give him MVP over Josh Allen? What a great performance by Lamar Jackson. Instead, and I'm not ripping those of you that are doing this or were doing this. I'm just telling you the truth about what was going on. Many people spent yesterday rooting against Lamar Jackson. And they really weren't rooting against Lamar Jackson. They were rooting against that clown, Ryan Clark, who has turned Lamar Jackson into a race soldier. And Lamar Jackson's not a race soldier. He's a great quarterback. As soon as that game was over, what did Josh Allen do? He ran over to greet, console, congratulate Lamar Jackson. Those two guys, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, have a incredible respect for each other. They've been dragged into this racial conflict. Lamar Jackson is not Muhammad Ali. And Josh Allen isn't Rocky Marciano. We're in a new era. It is 2025. These two guys have nothing but respect and admiration for each other, and it's the media that has pitted them against each other and pitted sports fans against each other and stopped people from fully appreciating, in my view, just how terrific Lamar Jackson was yesterday, how epic that comeback was. And yes, Mark Andrews wet his pants and dropped the two-point conversion, wet his pants and fumbled in the second half. And yes, Lamar Jackson had an interception and a fumble in the first half. But Lamar Jackson was terrific. That game was terrific. The Lamar Jackson, in reality, he outplayed Josh Allen. Josh Allen today should be happy they won, but someone should be talking to Josh Allen about, hey, man, don't go slap Sean McDermott and Joe Brady. I know you want to. I know you're irate, Josh Allen, because Sean McDermott, your head coach, and Joe Brady, your offensive coordinator, did everything to keep you from winning that game yesterday. They wrapped you in a little protective bubble and pretended like, oh, we got to prevent Josh Allen from winning this game. We got to prevent Josh Allen from blowing this game. Josh Allen, in my opinion, going into that game, was the MVP of the league. It's not a shot at Lamar Jackson, but that's how I felt. And then I watched that game, and I'm like, who does Sean McDermott and Joe Brady, who do they think their quarterback is? Who do they think carried them this far? Hey, look, I like James Cook, and I got Tony Romo's, handful of jokes, let James cook. But even Tony Romo figured it out like, hey, man, turn this game over to Josh Allen. You've got an MVP quarterback. What are you doing? You're making this man play quarterback with his hands tied behind his back. You're running the ball on first down every single time. You're afraid to let this guy pass this team to victory. Josh Allen, at one point late in the fourth quarter, had 90 passing yards. And so there was one quarterback who was responsible yesterday of putting his team on his back. Now, I'm not saying Derrick Henry and what's the kid, Hill? Is it Justice Hill or what? The other running back? Holy cow. Every time they ran the ball, they were 6-7 yards a rip. But late in that game, and in the fourth quarter, Lamar Jackson went and put a cape on and did everything to put Baltimore in position to win. And I feel sorry for the people who couldn't enjoy that because they were so caught up and so concerned, like, oh my God, if Lamar Jackson wins this game, all I'm going to hear about for a week from ESPN is, oh, it's the era of the black quarterbacks and it's never going back. And we got 4 black quarterbacks in the AFC and NFC championship games. They were going to racialize this whole thing, and white quarterbacks are dead, and black quarterbacks have taken over, and all these black quarterbacks have been denied for so long. And yes, we must talk about the history of discrimination that these quarterbacks did not endure. We must talk about what Warren Moon endured in order to appreciate what Lamar Jackson is doing. No, we don't. I lived during the Warren Moon era. I lived during the James Harris, Los Angeles Rams era. I lived through it all when black quarterbacks couldn't play the position because they were denied unfairly. We're not in that era anymore, and it's been a long time since we've been in that era. And I don't need it shoved down my face, everything that everybody in the past endured, for me to appreciate what Lamar Jackson is doing. Because once I start having that conversation, then I'm going to start putting all the context around it. And now it's not going to be a celebration of Lamar Jackson. It's going to be a conversation about what did they do to the game to make it so easy for all these running quarterbacks. This is what Ryan Clark and the race clowns have done. Instead of being able just to enjoy Lamar Jackson's greatness, they want to turn it into the oppression Olympics and draft Lamar Jackson for that oppression Olympics when Lamar Jackson has not been oppressed. Now, I'm just sorry. In football, when they give you the Heisman Trophy and they give you 2 NFL MVP trophies and they give you a $200 million contract, you're not oppressed. You're blessed. And so if Ryan Clark and the other race clowns want to go on TV and talk about how blessed Lamar Jackson is, I'm here for it. Oh my God, what a blessing. Look at that offensive line. He's got Derrick Henry, one of the 10 greatest running backs of all time. He's got a head coach and a whole organization that's sold out for him. Look at how blessed Lamar Jackson is. If they want to have that conversation, we can have it. And everybody would love it. But instead, they use Lamar Jackson as a racially divisive tool. They draft him as a race soldier. And the next thing you know, you got people, instead of looking at the greatness of Lamar Jackson and appreciating and celebrating the greatness like we did Michael Jordan, like we've done Walter Payton, like we did Jerry Rice. That's the history of sports. You put greatness on the field, people are attracted to it. And it doesn't matter what color you are. It's like, oh, that's great. You package it up with an attitude, a wagging the finger attitude, when these players are making $40, $50, $60 million a year, now you got problems. Now people aren't enjoying it. They're sitting around rooting for Lamar Jackson's demise and figuring out a way, how can I turn this into a negative conversation about Lamar Jackson? Ryan Clark did that. Ryan Clark will point the finger. No, if you got a problem with Lamar Jackson, if you were rooting against him, it's because you're a racist. No, man. I've seen what sports fans do when they see the kind of greatness that Lamar Jackson unleashes, when it's not packaged up as part of some race narrative to try to diminish one group to celebrate another group. Lamar Jackson is really likable. He handled yesterday's loss in a really classy way, in my opinion. He's defended Mark Andrews, who had a rough day, a rough second half, a rough fourth quarter. He defended him. He celebrated Josh Allen. Lamar Jackson's really, really likable. It's the race clowns who are trying to draft him into their little race war. And I hope that with the re-election of Donald Trump and with people snapping out of their Trump derangement syndrome and with major influencers and celebrities proving and coming out of the closet, hey, man, I've been lying for 8 years. I don't hate Trump. I just, I was getting a check for pretending to hate Trump and pretending that everybody that's part of MAGA is some racist, blah, blah, blah. I hope now that we're snapping out of that the rest of you snap out of it and start ignoring the race clowns like Ryan Clark and everybody else on ESPN who want to turn every conflict between a black and a white athlete into a civil war. Fantastic football game yesterday. I do have some major questions for Sean McDermott and Buffalo, because if they carry that BS game plan that they ran yesterday into Arrowhead Stadium, they're not going to win. Josh Allen is going to have to beat Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. James Cook's not going to do it. And I'll come on here and eat my word. If James Cook runs for 125, 140 yards and somehow Josh Allen throws for 120 and they win, I'll come on here and eat my words and apologize. But it ain't going to happen. They're going to have to turn Josh Allen loose. And go down with the ship. If he throws 3 interceptions, fumbles the ball, I got no problem with it. He's earned the right to blow that thing up because he's carried him all year. So that's my initial take on Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. We'll bring TJ Moe and Steve Kim into the conversation. We'll talk about the Detroit Lions. Where did they wet the bed? I can't believe what happened to the Detroit Lions. And I know everybody wants to jump, the Washington Commanders. No, that was the Detroit Lions wetting the bed. And the 12 men on the field late, the lack of organization. And look, I know they had the injury problems, but I told y'all all season, I told Steve Kim, and he's going to have to answer for this. So I was like, hey, man, I don't really trust Jared Goff. That guy, a little bit of a turnover machine at some really bad times. And I know the Lions had a lot of injury problems and another injury on this weekend that hurt them bad on defense. But Jared Goff and Dan Campbell blew up in Detroit's face. And what a disappointment. I was rooting for Detroit. We'll talk about that as well. Before we get to see Kim, I want to tell you guys about Prize Picks. It's playoff time, and it's now or never. Don't miss out on the last few weeks of football action with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching the playoffs. You can now win up to 1,000 times your money on Prize Pick. Think Josh Allen will get more than 250 passing yards next week against the Chiefs? Will Patrick Mahomes pass more than 1.5 touchdown passes? Cook up hot takes with your friends and win real money this football season when you and your crew run your game on Prize Picks. Prize Picks now offers MasterCard for quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season. Now, let's see what Mama Whitlock has picked up for this week.
Mama Whitlock, what's your lineup? Mama Whitlock, what's your lineup? Pick more, pick less. Run your game, you gotta be fearless. Lock it in. Mama Whitlock, what's your lineup? Prize Picks.
My mom's been hot all week, or all football season. Let's see if it continues. She's got some picks for tonight's college football national championship game, Notre Dame, Ohio State. Riley Leonard, Notre Dame quarterback, more than 38.5 rushing yards. I don't know how I feel about that, Mama. I'm not so sure. Jeremiah Smith, less than 80.5 receiving yards? Mama, what are you doing here? I'm not sure about that. Jeremiah Love, less than 44.5 rushing yards. Kind of like that pick. All right, that's my mom's pick. See how she does. Sign up today. Get your $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. That's right. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the promo code FEARLESS and get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. All right, Steve Kim, Korean Cosell. Next.
Jason Whitlock, hey, my guy. No, you're not my guy. Guy, come here. You're not that guy, pal. You're not. That big rack of hers, that's inappropriate. That butter skin, that's inappropriate. Like, bro, you're not that guy. So to comment on something like this, bro, stay in your lane.
Who's that guy? What are we talking about here? Define that guy for me, Cam. And I say this in all seriousness. I would love to have this conversation with you on what makes someone that guy. And then ask yourself, do I want to be? Does Jason Whitlock want to be that guy? because maybe this is just a misunderstanding about what that guy is and whether or not I want to be it. Here's who I want to be, Cam. I want to be a Christian who provides biblical wisdom to young people and older people who reject, deny, don't fully understand, don't comprehend the wisdom that's spelled out in the Bible. That's the guy I'm trying to be.
Yeah, 모두 다 빨리 박수 쳐 기다리지 말고 서둘러 Listen that I'm back just to feed you raps I see that you are 배불러 So fly
All right, welcome back. TJ Moe in studio with me. Steve Kim joining us via satellite from Los Angeles. Steve, get us rolling. TJ, follow in here. Lamar Jackson, is he to blame for what?
Boy.
He's to blame for the loss yesterday? Is that what, did you just say yes to that? Did you let me finish the question, Steve?
Of course not.
Oh.
I thought Lamar played a good. We got to get over this. It's like every time there's a quarterback that's considered elite that becomes this polarizing figure for whatever reason, he has to play a perfect game. He has to be Don Larson. And then even if he does pitch that perfect game, it becomes, well, they lost. I don't get this. It's like someone pointed this out to me. I remember watching it. Everyone remembers Joe Montana's coming out moment nationally, the catch, which, by the way, was the same play, sprint right option. Okay, everyone runs that play near that part of the field. Dwight Clark makes the iconic catch over Everson Walls. It makes the cover of Sports Illustrated, and the Niners become the 80s team. Has anyone ever actually seen the box score for that game? Joe Montana turned the ball over at least 5 times. So, again, was Joe Montana great, or was he great when it mattered, or did his team just happen to find a way to win? Now, look, the first half is the first half. Lamar did what he did, but I thought he was really good in the second half. And as the Buffalo offense, as I like to say, went into Rush Limbaugh mode because they were ultra-conservative, acting like they had a 31-0 lead. And look, there's also an argument that Lamar on that 2-point conversion, there's people that played football like Sean King, not Martin Luther Cream, but the quarterback who said, hey, Lamar didn't actually execute that all that well. But again, the ball was dropped. With that being said, I didn't look at that game and say, God, Lamar, he blew it. I didn't look at it that way. And he's still an elite quarterback. But we've got to get over this thing, how the fortunes of a 45-man roster in the ultimate team game are decided by one person.
Steve, I totally agree with you, and that's why I was shocked this morning when our guy TJ Moe here was trying to point a finger of blame at Lamar Jackson.
Sorry to make an accurate assessment that we've always done throughout all of history. I thought your monologue was very compelling. I would make a different point, though, because I think everything you said I totally agree with. Here's what I'd say. I don't want Ryan Clark to affect me either way. I still want to be able to evaluate the game properly. And evaluating the game properly means saying what I think is obvious. It is not Lamar Jackson's fault that the comeback fell short. It's Lamar Jackson's fault that they needed a comeback in the first place. 3 straight drives. They only got 8 drives in the entire game. Okay, 3 straight drives. They scored a touchdown in the first one. Then he threw a pick. Then he fumbled. And then he took a bad sack down by the goal line where they had to settle for a field goal instead of taking 7 points, to where they were down at halftime when they should not have otherwise been. That is when we talk about a guy like he's the best player that exists and was going on his 3rd straight MVP potentially, we should be able to properly evaluate, hey, he blew the first half and had to play really well, which he did in the second half.
That's football, and sometimes the interception was just a bad pass. The fumble, byproduct of a bad snap, poor blitz pickup, Damar Hamlin right in his lap, and it's an inadvertent, it's just a mistake. But that's what happens during the course of a game, and then he started making all kinds of plays that put them back in the game to the point, and I saw Coach JB, Steve, trying to blame Lamar for not throwing that football on time to Mark Andrews, Miss me with all that. He put it in the guy's lap on the goal line. Mark Andrews has to make that catch.
Guys, we want to assign blame. I got a name, and he's done an excellent job of coordinating this offense, Todd Monken. Why in the world, in the biggest game of the season, are you putting Derrick Henry on layaway like a Cavaricci sweater at Chess King? You had to understand, especially in the third quarter, he was rolling downhill, and then you have that little scat back or smaller one in Hill, and I'm thinking, uh-oh, Buffalo's getting shoved around. They should go to some heavy personnel, maybe some 12 sets. This is a game where you look at the big Bama Slammer and you say, listen, big boy, we're trying to get somewhere. You're going to take us there. You're getting 25 carries minimum. I thought, again, and I get it, you have an MVP, you have a quarterback that is that guy. But at certain points of the game, you have to dance what's going to bring you to the next level, the next round. And in my view, that was Derrick Henry. He should have been fed that ball all throughout the second half.
How they didn't run the ball on the original two-point conversion.
Yeah.
The one they missed, I believe, in the third quarter. How they didn't run the ball there blew my mind. They were gashing them. And I was like, and now 2.5, 3 yards, you don't trust Derrick Henry or Lamar Jackson? You're throwing the ball there? I thought that was incredible. I thought that was like, they just came out of character. You just broke character. You're running the ball that Buffalo can't stop your run. I did think that was silly and stupid. Steve, what do you think of my take? And I am pinned. Here I am saying don't pin the blame on Lamar Jackson, but I am saying, hey, let's pin the blame on Ryan Clark. Ryan Clark and ESPN and all the race guys that turn everything into a racial dispute, I think he's hurting people from enjoying Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's really likable. He's really talented. He's playing at a high level, and people are rooting against him because they don't want to hear Ryan Clark come on TV and wag his finger and tell, oh, it's the black quarterback, this, the black. When there's never been in my lifetime, and I say this and all, and look, position was dominated by white quarterbacks. But I never heard a conversation about how great the white quarterbacks were during the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And hey, it's a white quarterback era, and only a white person can play it. But we're doing that on the other side, and people are rooting against, hey, man, I don't want Ryan Clark wagging his finger at me and trying to prove that I'm inferior and blacks are superior, and if it wasn't for racism, everything would be different. They just don't want to hear it, so they root against Lamar Jackson.
There's no doubt that he has stirred the division. He is the chef of that meal. And here's the thing. In the era of social media, when everyone has a voice or a platform of different sizes, everyone's going to be able to chime in immediately. And Jason, I thought it was unfortunate that right after the game, on my timeline, these people who were pretty neutral, but if they lean a political direction or culturally have certain feelings, whether they're black or white, you almost start to not root against or for Buffalo or Baltimore. It became either we want Lamar Jackson because of this agenda, or we hate this agenda and we'd rather have Josh Allen. And I think that's unfortunate. The bottom line is this. I give Lamar credit. I've never actually heard him that much try to push this agenda. This guy just wants to play ball. And I think he even realizes, hey, my time in the league, I'm now on the second half of it. I'm still in my physical prime, but I don't have 30 years here. These careers are relatively short and they go fast, and the window to win can shut immediately. And I think he realized this was a golden opportunity. But there's no doubt about it is that I think with all this rhetoric and then some of the anti-Josh Allen stuff that we've heard from people like Dominic Foxworth 3 years ago, it creates this festering and lingering emotion. And there's a lot of people who are sick of the white guilt that's been doled out the last 4 years, that they may be neutral in a lot of things involving football. But I guarantee you, this is just my feeling, that people who have no association with the Ravens or Bills, they overtly became Bills/Josh Allen fans because of this discussion that's been jammed down our throat for at least 2 to 3 years.
TJ is the white guy on the show today. Does Ryan Clark impact you a little bit?
I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know if he's relevant enough to me. There's so much woke stuff out there. I don't know that he's relevant enough to me. I will say I think he's relevant enough. This is why I agree with your point. I think he's relevant enough to most people, and that narrative is, like, for instance, I told you a month ago, I think Josh Allen is the most holistically gifted quarterback to ever play football. I think he has an unbelievably strong arm. I think he's 235, 240 pounds.
TJ, state your date of birth, please, at the moment.
10-14-90.
Okay, so TJ's like
so
12 years. He's 12 years old in football years.
He's more athletic than John Elway.
Tell him about John Elway.
Yes, he is.
Tell him about John Elway.
I've seen all the John Elway highlights. When it comes to running the football, Josh Allen is a better. We don't agree on this. Josh Allen's not a better runner than John Elway.
No, I
He's
don't agree with
bigger.
that.
He might be faster. John Elway could run a 4.5. He extended a lot of plays. The stuff he did back in the 80s with almost no run game is just like Mahomes. And by the way, he's a much better passer. He had a rocket arm, but he could touch it. He could feather it. He could deliver it. And if you asked 100 football personnel men who were in that room, Ozzie Newsome to Mike Lombardi, you said, who would be your first pick if you had to choose between John Elway or Josh Allen? I think overwhelmingly they would go with Elway. In fact, Elway is still regarded as the highest, greatest draft prospect of all time.
Well, I'm saying gifted. I'm not saying better. Obviously, I think
Elway
was better.
Let me go gifted as well. Let me add a couple of more names, more gifted than Josh Allen. Steve Young.
Yeah, you said this last week.
Steve, again,
I was around for a lot of the Steve era.
You were in diapers, TJ.
I watched a lot of Steve Young playing football.
Let me throw.
When did Steve Young retire? I watched a lot of Steve Young football.
99.
Sometime in the 90s.
99.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Yeah.
I've watched a lot of
You
Steve
were born
Young
in 1992, is that what you just said?
90.
90, yeah, okay, so cut it out. Let me throw another name at you.
He's only 63, what do you mean?
There's some guy named Roger the Dodger. His name, he played at Naval Academy.
You hardly watched him, too.
No, I watched a lot of Roger the Dodger. Roger Staubach, an incredible athlete. He had to sit out a few years.
Fran Tarkenton was a great runner, too. I get it. There's a lot of guys that are really good. I've seen
Fran
a lot
Tarkenton's arm couldn't compare to Josh Allen's. But Roger Staubach's arm could, John Elway's arm could, Steve Young's arm could. But
Jason,
Josh,
I got a name.
Go ahead, Steve.
I got a name that would fit in better in this era than he did in his own era, and he actually evolved eventually as a pocket passer. Scrambling Randall Cunningham. Another guy.
That's who Josh Allen kind of reminds me of.
Yeah.
If anybody, it would be Randall Cunningham.
I think, and different era. So you put Steve Young in this era where he's actually asked to run in a real way instead of just scrambling around the same.
He'd be better.
He wasn't doing this. Yes, he'd be better. That's what I'm saying.
Steve Young would be better.
Steve Young would be better, yes. So I think we're in agreement on this point. What I'm saying is Josh Allen has an opportunity to use many of these skills, particularly on the goal line, where like he did yesterday, where he's running through defensive linemen, that most quarterbacks couldn't do in the history of the game.
Only thing I want you to understand, though, is when every time Steve Young, John Elway, Roger Staubach, when they stepped out of the pocket, there was a calculation they were making like, hey, man, Lawrence Taylor's out there, and he's allowed to do whatever he wants to me when I step outside this pocket.
Yeah, we're making the same point.
Josh Allen gets to step outside that pocket. There's some 215-pound line. They don't even make the linebackers that used to punish these guys for leaving. Ray Lewis is illegal in this era. And
Josh Allen took some big hits yesterday. They were actually pointing it out on the broadcast. So Josh Allen, more than most quarterbacks because he's so big, and particularly in the playoffs, go look at the last few years. Josh Allen in the playoffs runs right at guys. It's a little different than Pat Mahomes, who's baiting them on the sideline, hoping to get a flag called. So I don't know that Josh Allen fits in that category quite like everybody else does.
Guys,
Go ahead, Steve.
The greatness of Steve Young is, I think, threefold. When the LA Express were running out of money, one of the last games they played at El Camino College, this is the type of football player he was. He actually lined up at running back willingly. I know people that are at that game. I've read books. He actually played running back, and he had no problems with it. The greatest play he was ever involved in was in 1988 against the Minnesota Vikings. He broke like 5-6 tackles on a defense that had Keith Millard, Chris Dolman, Joey Browner. And he looked like a real running back, and it was like a 45-yard dash to the end zone. And it ended up being key because they won that division by 1 game over my Rams, went on to a Super Bowl. But the evolution of Young, this is what's impressive. In the early 90s, with real passing offenses and real defenses, he threw at a 70% percentage of completions. That's amazing. So when people say these are athletes like we've never seen before, Jason and I have seen it. We're old. Been there, done that.
Can I back? Let me back up just a little bit, because I was only making that point, flawed or not, to say that there's a lot of white dudes out there saying, why are we only talking about the athletic black dudes? Because Josh Allen fits as one of the most athletic quarterbacks to play the game, whether or not he's number 1, maybe he's number 10. You're saying, how come this is only a black quarterback league now? We're never going back. How many times have you heard that already? It's like, well, Josh Allen might be more athletic than any of them, maybe outside of Lamar. So why is this conversation only surrounding that? And I think that's where the resentment comes in.
There definitely. Let me ask you this. You took me to where did he play at Arkansas? Remember Matt Jones? They made him a wide receiver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
He might have been a quarterback.
Yeah.
In this, and is he around your age or is he?
No, he's older.
Yeah. Yeah, but I remember that guy, and he may have been a quarterback in this era and been allowed to develop as a passer in this era. And so you're right. We are, and again, we're going to see it tonight in the national championship game. There's 2 quarterbacks, I believe both white. Mm-hmm. They both run. And Riley Leonard, that's pretty much all he does. He's kind of Tommy Frazier or whatever. But yeah, no one's going to talk about, the great athletic quarterbacks we'll see in tonight's national championship because they're white. But we're going to see some athletic quarterbacks in tonight's national championship.
Yeah. It's like, look, when the white guy's up there, he's gritty, he's smart, probably never misses a free throw. And the black guy quarterback up there, doesn't matter if they're identical, it is, man, don't let him out of the pocket. That dude, he'll run circles around you. That's how people talk about it. And what the Ryan Clarks of the world, if they were as smart as they thought they were, they'd be trying to correct that and saying like, hey, some of these black quarterbacks, like Russell Wilson, doesn't exactly fit that mold. He's mostly a pocket guy that throws an unbelievable deep ball and had a Hall of Fame career in the first half in Seattle. But instead, he's just saying, we got our first authentically black quarterback. We need to celebrate that.
I want to rattle off a couple of tweets here. One from Dan Orlovsky, who I agree with, that said that anybody, go back. Here we go. I like the first part. If you put the loss on Lamar tonight, respectfully, you're a loser. I love that tweet. Then I think it's Emmanuel Acho. He said something different. Let's go to Emmanuel Acho. He said something different. People will slander Lamar Jackson, bring up Lamar Jackson's playoff history, and bring up his turnovers. Ignore them. Mark Andrews cost them the game. Lamar took his team 88 yards downfield in 8 plays and threw a dot to Mark Andrews to tie the game. I like Dan Orlovsky's point a lot more than Emmanuel Acho's of like, oh my God, let me protect Lamar Jackson by slamming Mark Andrews. I happen to somewhat agree. If I'm blaming anybody for this loss, it's Mark Andrews for dropping that 2-point conversion. But I don't know if there's this mad rush by anybody. Who in the media are they talking about? There will be some people that may tweet criticism of Lamar Jackson, but who with a big platform is like opening up their show today going, hey, I can't wait to take a dump on Lamar Jackson. And
Nick Wright. I saw Nick Wright with a tweet where it wasn't exactly that way. Let me see if I can find it while we're talking here. I think Nick said something where he sort of acknowledged his greatness, and then let's see. No, that's not it. But basically, I think in the end he said, at some point your record's your record. 3-5 in the playoffs. So he didn't say about last night, but he's mostly saying like, if it keeps happening.
Yeah, I want to defend Nick in this regard. I can't believe it because, the guy's a phony. But he's his shtick is I'm a Chiefs fan. He's from Kansas City. And so this is all about, and again, this is my problem with the media. Everybody's got their little shtick and narrative they have to protect. Hey, I'm the ultimate Chiefs fan, so I take a dump on Lamar to protect Patrick Mahomes. And look, I'm telling you, there was a time as a sports fan, not as a journalist, but as a sports fan, I was such an Indiana Pacer homer that it was hard for me to give Michael Jordan his full credit. And then once Jordan retired, then I just went completely the other direction and was like, hey man, this guy's the greatest thing I ever saw. but because he tortured Reggie Miller and the Pacers so much, it was, but
He is hammering him, though. You go on Twitter. This was Lamar's, quote, best performance in a playoff loss, but that's kind of the problem. Lamar didn't have multiple turnovers in a game all season and then has multiple turnovers in the first half. The last time he had multiple turnovers, AFC Championship game last year. He just keeps saying the overarching, like, I'm the only one saying it because everybody loves Lamar, and he's probably getting his third MVP, and I don't know. But he keeps doing something a little different once we get to the playoffs. So he is hammering him in that way, not exactly about this loss.
Steve?
Guys, didn't Peyton Manning finally win his first Super Bowl in about years 7 or 8 of his career? I mean, it took a while. I distinctly remember that Peyton Manning in 99, 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003 could not get over the hump. The defense was bad. They couldn't get past the Patriots. And then finally, 2006, they made that amazing comeback in the championship game and won a Super Bowl. And if you look at the overarching spectrum of his career, he went to 3 Super Bowls and he won 2. But the last Super Bowl, Peyton Manning was kind of a below average quarterback in terms of his arm talent. I mean, he handed the ball off and he said to Von Miller, win me a Super Bowl. And that's how they did it. So, look, I've seen this before. I still believe Lamar one day is going to get to the mountaintop. I do. It's a strong organization. We got to see what they do in free agency. Not having Zay Flowers, who's a bright young player, that did not help. I think Isaiah Likely has to become a more prominent, consistent part of that game plan moving forward. I think he was a little bit underused. He's a mismatch nightmare. Keep this in mind. Again, it took Peyton Manning a while to get all the way to where he wanted to be.
I'm going to make a final point. I was just thinking about this Nick Wright thing. I think Chris Broussard has a shtick as well that he's the ultimate Lamar Jackson supporter. I think I just saw some video where they got Snoop from The Wire on their show and Chris was all dressed. So there's shtick TV and there's, hey, Skip Bayless rode criticism of LeBron James to great fame and fortune. And that model has been played out, and Nick Wright and Cowherd for a long time rode, hey, LeBron's the greatest, and they rode that to fame and fortune. And now this is just the NFL version of that, of, hey, I'm a Patrick Mahomes guy, you're a Lamar Jackson guy, we stay in it's just more Skip Bayless shtick. It's what Skip and Shannon Sharp did. Shannon Sharp, and then as soon as Shannon Sharp got away from ESPN, he's toned down his groupie stuff for LeBron James. And I never liked it. I was like, oh, Shannon Sharp, man, he's a Hall of Fame football player, and he's going on TV dressing up like LeBron James and being a groupie for LeBron James. I've never understood that for a Hall of Fame athlete. I could see me dressing up and playing the role of I'm the ultimate Patrick Mahomes fan.
Oh, you did that.
As a mediocre college football player.
Jason?
Yeah.
You actually did that. You used to put on the Patrick Mahomes hair. I mean, so, pot meet kettle.
I get it. But if I was in the NFL Hall of Fame, and this is where I was kind of like, Shannon got upset because Skip Bayless treated him like he wasn't on equal footing with Tom Brady. Remember, he got all upset about that. Mm-hmm. And it was like, I'm a Hall of Famer too. And Skip Bayless didn't say it, but he was thinking it. You don't act like one. You're on your knees genuflecting for LeBron James. Like you're not a Hall of Fame athlete. You're in the pro football. You know, one of the hardest things for an athlete to do used to be is to make it to the Hall of Fame. And Shannon made it there legitimately. And you're on TV every day acting like you're a groupie for some 40-year-old steroid abusing,
Allegedly.
Michael Jordan. Allegedly, I'm sorry.
Allegedly.
Michael Jordan. Anyway, I'm gonna stop there because I'm off in waters where I shouldn't be. I want Steve. There was a person on a show called Fearless with Jason Whitlock who spent much of the last 2 years suggesting that Jared Goff could end up being a problem for the Detroit Lions. I don't know who that person was, but I'm sure he was a regular on Fearless with Jason Whitlock. And there was this Asian guy that used to come on and say, "Oh no, Jared Goff,
Wait a minute.
he's incredible. He won't
No,
cost
wait,
them."
what? Wait a minute. My guy. You're not my guy right now. I'm going to tell you this right now. You're putting words into my mouth. What I said was, Goff is playing well, and he's developed, and he's evolved. But he killed him. There's no doubt about it. And Jason, I believe the game switched at 7-3. They're driving. Jahmyr Gibbs is rolling. They get the ball to 3rd and 2, and they're in field goal range at least. And I remember David Montgomery makes a short run, and I'm thinking, okay, it's 3rd and 2. Let's run the ball twice. Let's get at least to the field goal range, and you continue the momentum. But instead, Ben Johnson, who I'm very high on, I thought began to outthink himself. He went empty set on 3rd and 2. Okay. And then Jared Goff became a turnover machine. There are no excuses. Jared Goff, he went Vinny Testaverde, 87 Fiesta Bowl. I make no excuses, my guy.
Yeah, some of us saw it coming and said that there was kind of a history of this. I am sympathetic, though. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, they had another injury on defense early in that game, and to overcome all the injuries they had all season, again, because I was someone right off the top when Aiden Hutchinson went down, I think week 1, I was like, hey, I don't think they can win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It was week 7?
Yeah,
I thought it was early there. But anyway.
6 or 7. Yeah.
I was like, hey, whoa, you can't do it. They're going to need a defensive guy to bail them out and create some 3rd and longs. And it's, they compensated all season. But to me, this was a game where they really missed Aiden Hutchinson, their pass rusher. And so I'm a bit sympathetic. I feel sorry for the line. I feel sorry for Detroit fans. I feel sorry for Dan Campbell. I wonder about with Ben Johnson likely to get a head coaching job, with Aaron Glenn likely to get a head coaching job. They're going to have to go into next season with Jared Goff, a new offensive coordinator. Now, they will have Aiden Hutchinson and a much healthier defense, but new offensive coordinator with Jared Goff at quarterback, how seriously can we take the Detroit Lions moving into next season?
Jason, before I get to that, they also lost Aleem McNeil. And once they lost him, they did not have that inside push inside. He is a Pro Bowl caliber tackle. And then they lost Carlton Davis, probably their most seasoned cornerback. So that was a stripped down version of that defense. This is where I have faith in Detroit, where I don't think they're going to completely fall off, but there could be a hangover effect. Brad Holmes is the modern day Ozzie Newsome. He is an incredible general manager. I have a lot of faith in his ability to bring players and to keep this roster updated and also very talented. But Jason, you make a great point. Without Ben Johnson, I do worry about Goff because he understands what Goff does well. And to Goff's credit, he's one of the few quarterbacks that could actually play directly under center and operate play action. Now, I don't know how many coordinators really like to do that anymore, but there's still a lot of talent on that Detroit. But I've seen teams that have these magical runs, and when they don't get over the top the next season, the wind is taken out of their sails. I do have a concern about that and the overall status of Goff post Ben Johnson.
I think we saw a stat on TV. It said they had 30 guys on IR. To even get where they did, win 14 games or whatever it was this year, is miraculous when you have 30 guys on IR, particularly when you got your best player on defense. To your point about Jared Goff, he is who he is. He's been in the league a long time. No, he's not a top 13 quarterback, something like that. Yeah. He had a game this year where he did not throw an incompletion, and it was a perfect game, and they didn't even realize it. They didn't even give him a game ball, okay? And then That, by the way, is how insignificant I think he is to their total success. And then he had a game where he threw 5 interceptions. That's who he is. This when you're Jared Goff, I think, was quarterback for the St. Louis Rams. Was he not?
Yeah.
Los
LA,
Angeles Rams.
2016.
St. Louis Rams.
Jared Goff?
No,
Yes, was he
2016
not there
was
in-
his rookie year. No, he came when the Rams moved and they played at the Coliseum.
All right. So he's been here since 2016. 'Cause I think they left in 14 or whatever it was. And so he's been around a long time. If you're still doing this kind of stuff, you don't trust this guy to take you. You have to make him the guy that came with you to the Super Bowl. And they haven't figured that out quite yet.
Well, I bet you Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell say, no, we had the team. They just got hurt. and if one of them, if Aiden Hutchinson hadn't got hurt, I think it's a whole different story. You got a playmaker on defense that, is a game changer. How about this, though? The Washington Commanders, new head coach, OC, DC, general manager, team president, blah, 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 blah. Instant success. Instant success. Are we buying this, or new quarterback, or is this a fluke? Are we buying Dan Quinn, Jaden Daniels? Is this the future of the NFC East?
I'm buying Jaden Daniels, and I've been on the record. I make a lot of bad predictions and have a lot of cold takes. I actually nailed Jaden Daniels. I thought he was clearly the best player or best quarterback in this draft. And I'm just wondering, is Caleb Williams either going to be the Akeem Olajuwon or Sam Bowie of this draft if this guy is Jordan? I like this team. I think they caught 2 teams. One of them, the Buccaneers, that was a close game. The Lions just kind of fell apart. I get the sense the Eagles are going to ring midnight at home on this Cinderella story. But it is difficult, in my view, guys, to not have a franchise quarterback in the win in this league. I think the Redskins finally got him. And I'll go on the record right now. This will not be RG3. This guy has skills and is built to last.
Is there any team, as we look off into the future next season, that should be saying, hey, I can be what the Washington Commanders are? I can hit a jackpot on an experienced coach who's ready to step in right away and find a quarterback. What fan base should be? Is it? It's not the Chicago Bears because they've already committed to Caleb Williams.
Cowboys?
They've already committed to Dak Prescott.
Geez.
Jacksonville Jaguars, they've already committed to Trevor Lawrence. Who out there?
There's been enough talk with the Cowboys. If they go Deion and Shador, that's what they're trying to do. It's not an experienced coach, but part of this depends on who are the actual quarterbacks you could draft, because that is an issue this year. Who's the Jaden?
Where did Jaden Daniels go? Number 3?
2, I think.
Yes.
2? Yeah,
2 or
second
3.
pick,
Who's the? Okay, you got Cam Ward, who I don't believe is Jaden Daniels, and then who?
Well, hold on. Let's hear from the Miami. Are you offended by that statement?
No, I mean, look, Cam Ward, I believe, is QB1 in this draft. Does he have the overall athleticism and the ability to make 50-yard runs the way Jaden Daniels does? No, it's a different type of quarterback. He's got really good arm talent. He can extend plays. Does not have that twitch of a Jaden Daniels that really makes him special. The only thing about Jaden Daniels I'm concerned about, and this has been a history, takes a lot of unnecessary hits. He's got to learn how to slide and just get out of bounds. But I think he's a special arm talent. But you're right, TJ. Is there a Jaden Daniels in this draft? My sense is probably not.
Third quarterback in the draft's Jalen Milroe. Like, I don't think that, first of all, it's not super deep. I wouldn't take Jalen Miller on my team. Wouldn't take Shador. Cam Ward's your guy, and as you know, Steve has watched a lot more. Jaden Daniels is a potentially once in a decade type guy. Who was the last rookie who came out and performed like this? Was it RG3?
Yeah.
I can't. Didn't Carson Wentz come out on fire as a rookie?
No, it was
And
really
then
his second year, and then he got injured late.
Hmm.
I mean, look, Russell Wilson was a little bit of a surprise. He led the Seahawks to the playoffs, actually won a game, and lost a heartbreaker in Atlanta. Ben Roethlisberger was carried by the defense and then steadily got better into a Hall of Famer. Dan Marino had a very strong 83, didn't start the year, actually came in, I think, in the first month. So what Jaden Daniels is doing, leading this team to an NFC Championship game, is remarkable.
Hey, not before, but Hadley, if you're listening, there's a topic. It was a small question I wanted to get in to Steve and TJ before I got to the college football playoffs. I had it at the top of my head, and then Steve got to talking, and I forgot it. But there was one little extra topic I wanted to get in, and I don't see it here in my notes. Hadley, if you remember, if anybody remembers, there was one other little extra topic that I said, but I'm going to move on, and I'll hopefully circle back to it if someone helps me out and remembers. But I want to talk about the college football playoffs, Steve, because that's your area of expertise, and it's the big game tonight. Part of my narrative on the college football playoffs is I don't understand how we've allowed. There we go. How we've allowed, it's the Eddie George deal, how we allowed the college football thing to drag on this long, and they're playing this game when everybody's talking about NFL playoffs, and now here it is Monday, and you halfway, the college football championships tonight. They got to figure out this college football schedule and get this thing ending closer to January 1, in my view. I know they want the content, and they love having all the, but this thing just seems overwhelmed by NFL playoffs, and this thing is fascinating tonight for me and maybe a bit more fascinating for me and TJ than for you. And Steve, I know you're a college football fan, so not more fascinating, but fascinating for a different reason. Just whatever's going on with this religious revival with Ohio State and Notre Dame, this game with Marcus Freeman and Ryan Day, what they've overcome, and at the beginning of the year we thought Marcus Freeman was dead man walking. He gets beat by Northern Illinois. We think Ryan Day is dead man walking. He gets beat by Michigan. These players, all they want to do is talk about Jesus Christ and all the. This is a fascinating game tonight, and it's all overshadowed by the NFL. Can't they do something schedule-wise, Steve, to get a bit more focus on this?
Well, by the way, you're missing the biggest story. A half-crouching tiger coach is in the national championship game, because you know how much we love those collective symbolic victories. Those are big. That always moves our culture forward. But anyway, So, Jason, Coach JB put up a tweet last week where he said, why is this thing taking so long? I can't disagree. As probably the biggest college football fanatic on this panel, I'm actually bored. I am. I'm going to watch the game because we cover it. I need to watch it. I hope it's entertaining. I'm a little bit intrigued by the game. But I always thought that college football needed to end right around New Year's Day. That's when it was. Then right around the mid to late 80s, they started setting up these special championship games where the games would actually move off New Year's Eve if it was not on a Sunday, right? I remember when Miami played Penn State in the Fiesta Bowl, they actually moved the game back because they wanted the spotlight to themselves. Then it became, eventually over time, a week later. And you know what? I think most people were okay with that. But I cannot argue, when you start getting into the January 20s, it seems like it's drug out. And if you actually look, guys, at the ticket prices for the semifinal games, they're not exactly the hottest ticket. It's not like the secondary market is exploding, which suggests to me, even the hardcore fans of the teams involved, they are fatigued. They want to be in the off season. Here's what they need to do. And I am not the commissioner, although I should be. As soon as the conference title games are over, go right into the playoffs. There's no need to even give these teams any rest. You want to make this like pro football?
Can't do it,
There
Steve.
you go. Yeah, why not?
Can't do it. Finals week. Finals week. They're not
like their
allowed to
student,
practice
TJ.
during finals week. No, I'm with you. I'm just telling you.
They're not
Schools
even
are not. I did it.
I mean,
You're
my
not
God.
allowed to practice during finals week. Coach has got nothing to do
Because
with
they
you. For 2
are
weeks, you're stuck.
student athletes. Oh, jeez. Student athletes.
I'm just saying,
We're still using that
you have
term,
things to overcome here, unless we're going to separate the two entirely. You have things to overcome. You are not allowed, after the last game, coaches are basically not allowed to talk to you for 2 weeks. Like, hey, guys, get your finals done, and then they come back. And look, I wish that could happen. I don't know what the real solution is, because you're not just going to practice and have a game during your finals week, okay? But the bigger solution, the bigger issue might be, since you probably can't do anything about that, there was 10 days between each one of these games. Why did you play December 21st, then wait till January 1st, then wait till January 10th, then wait till January 20th? Why did we do that? Why do you need 10 days in between every single one of your playoff games? If you can't get over the finals thing, and I don't think you can, they're at least still going to pretend for the time being that these are students, then you have to shorten things up. It's got to be before January 20th. And the other thing is, to the degree that there is no commissioner and there isn't, the fact that you put the national championship on Inauguration Day with the potential that Donald Trump would be your next president is the stupidest marketing decision in the history of college football.
I didn't even think about that. It's not just the NFL, it's the inauguration. It's MLK Day. There's all these things going on, and it's like, oh, there's a game tonight. And, I'm going to watch it, enjoy it, because I don't care which team wins tonight. It's going to be a great story regardless, But, Steve, you got a prediction on who you like tonight?
I've said it from day one. Ohio State has the best roster top to bottom. And they are I just don't see Notre Dame being able to threaten them outside offensively, as well coached as they are. They have a really stout defense, even though they've been banged up a little bit. Over time, Ohio State's depth and overall talent on the perimeter, in my view, will have them being the national champions for the season of 2024, which ends January 20th, 2025.
Steve, given your affinity for hip-hop analogies and colloquialisms and all, I'm just shocked you didn't call yourself a Ryan Day One. I'm shocked you didn't do that. It was right up your alley. A Ryan Day One. Yeah,
that's a pretty good one. Pretty good. Still lost to Michigan, though. Not that that matters anymore, but that's still going to be an asterisk on Ryan. Now, see, here, this is what I do love about college football. Ohio State wins tonight, then there's going to be a segment of Buckeye fans that say, okay, Ryan Day has to win a national title where he beats Michigan in the same year. See, there's certain traditions that I still love about this game. But, yeah, guys, this needed to be wrapped up about 10 days ago. No argument there.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, I'm going to let you get out of here without asking you I may save it for tomorrow. Well, you know what? No, I'm not. I'm just real. Hey, the Chicago Bears interviewed Eddie George. Is that pandering or is that a legitimate interview?
I hope for Eddie George it's a legitimate interview, but I go back to the words of Thomas Sowell. In terms of these laws and measurements and regulations, there's the desirability of them and the feasibility of them. Eddie George is doing some great work, I believe, at Tennessee State and impacting young lives. But I don't know. Is he just being used as a symbol for the Rooney Rule? I just get the sense he may not be a serious candidate. So, again, the same
Are you
people
suggesting that going 8-3 as an HBCU coach doesn't normally get you an NFL head coaching interview? Are you suggesting that?
Right. That's exactly what I am suggesting, and I'm an Eddie George fan. But
That's racist,
again, the same people that loved the Rooney Rule years ago are now saying get rid of it. Which is it, though? Do you want the interviews or not? But I do wonder, has Eddie George thought about it? Like, you know what? I'm being used here. I'm being used. I'm not doing it.
If I'm Eddie George, I don't care. I'm getting the interview. It makes me a better candidate at other places. But they're making a mockery of going 8-3 at an HBCU qualifies you to be an NFL head coach. So does going 8-3 in the Missouri Valley Conference, or I don't know?
It's a tough conference, Jason. Listen, I think it's possible. Don't know if this is likely, but I think it's possible there's a little bit of a Dan Campbell effect. Now, Dan Campbell had a much longer resume. He started coaching in Miami with the Dolphins in 2010. But seeing hey, maybe connection with the players and a passion for the game in a time where we seem to have lost a lot of that, matters a lot. And maybe we can't hire him today, but maybe we can start building this relationship that if and when he's ready, he'll be our guy.
Good answer, TJ. All right, Steve, I'm going to let you go. We're going to start. I'm gonna give you final. You got any thoughts on Trump Day and the rebirth, the return of America? We're gonna start talking about Trump and the inauguration for the next 2 hours. I'll give you first crack.
It's just an incredible day. I mean, as Don King would say, only in America. But I want to make a comment about Snoop and Nelly, especially Snoop. He was literally saying 4 months ago we shouldn't even talk to Trump voters, and now he's out there dropping it like it's hot. And so it's really interesting. And so the rhetorical question that I have for you guys, what is worse? People that worship celebrities and are influenced by their endorsement, or the ones who expect those said celebrities that you worship to align with you politically? I think the biggest suckers are ever taking guys like Snoop Dogg seriously to begin with. And by the way, I got to give Nelly credit. I thought Nelly gave the most reasonable, intelligent answer I've ever seen to Willie D. Willie D thought he was going to get on him. Willie D was dumbfounded after Nelly basically pointed out the hypocrisy and how this thing has been spun all the way around. But Nelly said, I respect the office. I am not endorsing a candidate. I am performing for the office and the symbolic role of the president, whatever that is. I thought Nelly really nailed that answer. My salute. Nelly, you are a fine American. God bless you.
Thank you, Steve. It's getting hot in here, and we're going to keep it moving. Thank you, Steve. Shemeka Michelle Butter's going to join us here in a second. We got so much to be thankful for today. It's MLK Day. Trump is getting inaugurated. Preborn is out there saving babies' lives. What a segue. We got so much to be thankful for, and I couldn't be more thankful for Dan Steiner and the organization Preborn and all that they do to save babies' lives. Preborn is a part of our mission here at Fearless. If you like what we do, if you support the worldview we try to represent, one of the greatest things you could do is support Preborn. Preborn's an organization that provides expectant mothers who are considering abortion, they provide them an ultrasound. They provide them, the expectant mother, with the baby's heartbeat and an image of the baby in the womb. Once she hears that heartbeat, once she sees that baby's image in the womb, she is now twice as likely to choose life. And that's where Preborn comes in, steps up, and provides that woman and the baby the support for up to 2 years. For up to 2 years. Preborn is saving 200 babies every single day. They've saved nearly 500,000 babies through the life of Preborn. Preborn is an organization where we have personally introduced you all to Dan Steiner, the founder. We built a personal relationship with Dan Steiner. We know that our money's not being wasted. It's not being sent to mid-level executives so they can get second vacation homes down in Florida. It is paying for ultrasounds. It is saving babies' lives. Our money's not being wasted. We're looking for leadership givers right now. That's people. Now, let me be clear. You can only give $5, love you. Please do it. If you can only give $50, love you. Please do it. Right now, though, we're looking for leadership. People that can give up to $5,000 or more to finance Preborn's entire network for more than 24 hours. This is called a leadership gift. This is all tax deductible. Preborn, trust me, it's going to make you feel good. It's going to make you feel like you've done something to honor God. It's going to make you feel like you're participating in changing this culture in a positive direction, because once people understand that life begins at conception, then they started treating life more seriously and more appropriately. 2 ways to give: pound 250, say the keyword baby, pound 250, keyword baby, or give the way that I prefer to give. Go to preborn.com/fearless. That's preborn.com/fearless. Preborn, 100% charity rating, so you can give with confidence. Please give today. Shemeka Michelle, Butter, TJ Moe, and I will sit here for the next 2 hours and just talk about what this day, Inauguration Day. We'll try to talk a little bit about what's going on with the inauguration. We're going to start with a conversation about Snoop Dogg and all these other Soulja Boy and Rick Ross and all the people jumping on the bandwagon late. How should we feel about them? How should we treat them? What should it make us think about Trump and the administration letting these late people hop on board? and letting I'm not a Snoop Dogg fan. This is tough for me. Anyway, we'll talk about all that and more next.
Like, this hurting my feelings, so you basically hurting my daughter's feelings. Like, if I know that your daughter is the most important things to you, I'm gonna use that shit against you. Like, I know you look forward to seeing your daughter every day, especially when you get off work. That's the first thing you want to do is hug your daughter, see your daughter. When you wake up, you want to see your daughter. I'm not gonna let you see that. I don't give a you gonna feel every thing that you just put me through. Like, you gonna feel that shit. All them tears that I just did this morning, you gonna feel it. Like, I don't care about none of that shit being a bitter, ooh, I don't care. Cause you should have thought about that shit before you tried to go behind my back texting this bitch.
This is what I'm talking about, the poisonous baby mama culture and behavior, and how women use kids to exact revenge on the men. You can get mad at that woman all you want. You need to be mad at yourself, because all you needed to do was put a condom on. That's all you need to do. The tiniest sacrifice in the world, denying yourself a little bit of pleasure. Not all the pleasure, just a little bit of pleasure. Deny yourself that teeny weeny little bit, and you're not dealing with that evil woman for the next 20, 25 years of your life.
What do you do for a living?
I don't work.
So what do you do during the day?
Nothing.
You don't want to work?
No.
So you're just living off of his child support?
I am. And we live with our mother.
And you're proud of that?
Well, we were living with him, and I was a stay-at-home mom. He made the income.
But you can work now, right?
I can, but...
No, but you can go get a job, right?
I could, but I'm not going to. My rent's free, my food is free. My mom's a homeowner. We don't have to pay nothing.
Who covers health insurance?
I do.
What I'm going to do is give you credit, actually. Bring your child support down.
Down?
Monthly, yes, slightly. It's still expensive. $1,093 a month.
That's it?
Well, it would be more if you get a job.
He would pay more if I got a job?
No, it would be more for the child if you got a job.
Something about that doesn't feel right. That feels set up and canned and rehearsed. I know that's from family court, but something about it just doesn't feel right. It feels like a setup. But I can just tell you where you don't want to be. You can talk all you want about the criminal justice court system if you're a man, but where you really don't want to be is in the family court system. They will destroy you in family court. Let me repeat. Wear a condom. Practice some abstinence. Protect your seed. All right, welcome back. I want to take us out to, I think Donald Trump is speaking right now. He's been sworn in. We were talking a little sports while President Trump was getting sworn in. Joe Biden has issued some more pardons. I believe he has posthumously pardoned O.J. Simpson for any crimes dating back as far back as 1973. Biden was busy on his way out the door, but I think we can play a little bit of what's going on with Donald Trump right now. I think he's speaking right now. If we could pick up some of it, is that accurate, Justin? Can we play Donald Trump?
In many cases,
there we go. Let's play Donald Trump. Take me off camera.
We try so desperately to provide to them. All of this will change starting today, and it will change very quickly. My recent election is a mandate to completely and totally reverse a horrible betrayal and all of these many betrayals that have taken place, and to give the people back their faith, their wealth, their democracy, and indeed their freedom. From this moment on, America's decline is over. Our liberties and our nation's glorious destiny will no longer be denied, and we will immediately restore the integrity, competency, and loyalty of America's government. Over the past 8 years, I have been tested and challenged more than any president in our 250-year history, and I've learned a lot along the way. The journey to reclaim our republic has not been an easy one, that I can tell you.
All right,
Those who
Justin,
wish
can
to
we
stop our
put?
cause
We can
have
mute
tried
Donald
to
Trump,
take my freedom.
but I still want to keep him on screen while putting us on screen. Is that possible? There we go. So Donald Trump there in the middle, TJ, Moe, Butter, Shemeka in studio with me. Guys, I want to start with the topic that bothered me all weekend. And because I'm not a Snoop Dogg fan. And to see Snoop Dogg welcome on board the MAGA train and get to perform and get to pretend like Snoop Dogg hadn't said all this other ridiculous stuff about MAGA, about President Trump, about those of us that have been supportive of President Trump since 2015, 2016. I just don't like Snoop being fast-tracked on board the MAGA train. So, Shemeka, I want to start with you. How did it hit for you this weekend here? Snoop's performing, Rick Ross is performing, Soulja Boy's performing, Nelly's performing. Your thoughts?
So I am a Snoop Dogg fan, and it still pissed me off. Like, I was angry simply because of the things that he said. Like, really, I should have done a cover. Like, I should have been there doing gin and juice if that's what they really, really wanted. Like, Snoop didn't have to be there. And I just don't like the fact that he was able to say all of the things that he said, putting down Trump supporters, calling us out of our names, and then he gets, like you said, fast track. He's on the Trump train, and he's like in the driver's seat. You know, I don't like that. I said I welcome everybody onto the Trump train, but they need to sit in the back. I understand it's MLK, weekend or whatever, and he's no Rosa Parks. But get to the back of the bus, Snoop. Get to the back of the train.
For so long, the Democrats have owned culture in America. And as much as I agree and do agree with Shemeka, this is symbolic of what's happening and what Donald Trump has done. You watched that clip, we came out of the break where he was dancing. We haven't seen that from the Republicans. We are in control of culture now. So watching what Snoop Dogg is doing and him being allowed to come in, to me, is an indication of change and what's happening. So as much as I would say, nah, you're a little late to this and some of the things you said, I'm also like, hell yeah. This is the Democrats' stranglehold over culture being disintegrated right in front of our eyes.
Tiny bit more skeptical, but I'm going to hold my powder.
It's manufactured. I don't feel it's real.
Well, the reason it might be real is they all liked Trump before they had to pretend to hate him. So is it over now? The threat's over. You can't keep him from being elected anymore. You could keep him from trying to be reelected after he was there in 2016. Is that all over? I don't know. My thing is more from Trump's side. Have you not learned all of these people that hate you and hate you until the moment that you have absolute power over them and then they want to be your best friend? Because these people were all inside of your administration. Not Snoop Dogg, but we got a list of people. John Bolton, many of these people should be in jail for sabotaging the President of the United States during his first administration. And you haven't learned your lesson yet? That to me is a problem. I love Carrie Underwood. I've never heard her say a negative thing about Trump. Kid Rock has never said a negative thing about Trump. You got Jason Aldean, who I think is performing at some points. You got a lot of pro-Trump guys who've been in your corner from this jump. And you got a lot of dudes who weren't in your corner and then came back around. How about the guys who were trying to make sure you didn't get elected up until the second you became president? Now they want to perform at your inauguration? Not interested.
I wouldn't say I think Snoop would argue. It's like, I didn't really want to perform. They asked me, they offered me this money. They wanted me to perform. I would, and I'll say this and I'll get in trouble, but if there was going to be a rapper performing at Trump, I want it to be Kanye. Period, end of story. I want it to be Kanye. But there's a group of people who wouldn't let probably or would complain if Trump let Kanye perform. The Jews, just quite frankly.
Right.
And so there would be some political consequences. But Kanye has been an authentic Trump supporter since day one. Why not Kanye?
Why not Kanye and put some of those MAGA rappers that have been very supportive this entire time, make them the hype men or something, give them some type of space to perform because they've been here and been working hard and been catching all of the heat from everybody and taking the ridicule. Let them come and sip champagne and do a few bars. That's how I feel.
In order for America to make this pivot and change, we've got to see this happening. I call it Studio 50 Mar-a-Lago down in Florida, where everybody wants to be part of the party. That's what Trump's doing, and allowing these people in and moving past it and seeing unity and seeing different voices and people who are anti-Trump all the way to this point. This is what's going to initiate the change and the things that I think he's going to try to accomplish during his second term.
I could see Snoop Dogg in 12 months cutting a new song and video, I Tried MAGA, and they just as racist as I thought they were, and one of them said this or said that. I just don't trust Snoop Dogg. He's been, and Justin, I want to play a couple of these Snoop Dogg clips, or particularly SOT number 9, where this is how just not that long ago Snoop was talking about MAGA people and performers that did perform for Trump. It's like, I just don't trust this guy. Is he really on board, or is he, again, another one of the, is he the Ray Epps of rap? Is this going to be another insurrection, and he's just the Ray Epps of rap? Let's play SOT number 9.
So ain't nobody gonna perform for Donald Trump, huh? Which one of you ass gonna be the first one to do it? I'm waiting. I'm gonna roast the out one of you Uncle Tom ass for doing it. Which one of you gonna do it first? Osby's the one that performs for himself.
And so we had this conversation this morning about, okay, that's Snoop talking about Trump supporters in a hip-hop gangster rap way. J.D. Vance and others were anti-Trump. They don't talk the way that Snoop does, but they had hypercritical things to say about Trump until they didn't. The big difference to me in those two groups is like J.D. Vance then turned around and started working to get Trump elected. J.D. Vance has walked people through like, hey, here's why I changed, here's why I pivoted. He has a explanation for his behavior, his action, and he's raised his hand and said, hey man, I was wrong. And I bought the media lies and blah, blah, blah. And it feels like Snoop and these guys, now there's another part of me that's like, hey, this is pretty gangster. This is pretty Godfather-ish. You had this enormous clash, violent clash, life or death clash. The Godfather wins, and then his enemies come and kiss his pinky ring. Maybe that's what Trump is doing. Is like, Snoop, come on up here and kiss the pinky ring, bow before everybody else. No, I don't trust you, but you got to go through this ceremony and ritual. But I just haven't heard any repentance from Snoop. Don't expect to. He's just going to cut a check or collect a check and then sit around and put his finger in the air and see who'll cut him the next check, you know, when they replace. Next year when Michelle Obama's running for president, he'll be somewhere singing her praises and saying why J.D. Vance is a member of the KKK.
Yeah, that's what I don't like about it, because he hasn't come around to say what changed. When Willie D was interviewing Nelly actually sounded like he understood why he was supporting Trump or why he was actually performing at the inauguration. He went through and said, oh yeah, that's right, Trump said, if you don't vote for him, you ain't black. And then he said, oh, wait a minute, that wasn't Trump, that was Biden. So it's like he stood 10 toes down in saying, look, y'all can't prove to me how this man is a white supremacist. So to me, it seemed as if Nelly understood that everything that's been pushed was propaganda and it was lies. We haven't heard that from Snoop. So it's like Snoop has, he's been allowed to say all of the things that he said and then just come back in as if he didn't say it. And that's what I don't like. Like, let me see, Snoop, that you understand they were lying and that they were painting this man as something that he wasn't, and that you liked him before they told you not to like him.
This is Trump's playbook. If you look at all of his adversaries, other leaders across the world that have, been negative to him, the assassination attempt, he responds back. This is his playbook. He brings people in and he moves past it. I think it's a symbolic gesture. As much as I agree with everything you guys are saying, this is Donald Trump and this is how he works and this is how he gets things done. And so I kind of understand why this is happening this way.
TJ, not that this doesn't apply to you, Shemeka, or Butter as well, but for me, the other thing I'm struggling, just as a Christian, as a believer, I believe Snoop Dogg is a demonic force.
No question.
And that his music promotes a satanic worldview, and just like, this is why I'm so reluctant to get involved with politics, is because, I have some real hard lines in the sand, and I don't want everybody in my tent. I don't want Snoop Dogg in my tent. And if Snoop Dogg in any way becomes some sort of proponent, spokesman for Donald Trump or the MAGA movement, that's where I'm like, okay, this is where I hit the exit ramp. You guys handle this. I'm gonna stay over here in my little Christian lane. I just can't get on. This dude's a pimp. He's racially divisive. He has no morality. I believe, I believe whatever we think Diddy is, I think Snoop's 10 times worse. I really do believe that. And so I just, as a Christian, I don't want to be on the same team as Snoop in virtually anything. And I don't know anything.
I agree with that. Certainly anything. I can't. Yeah, look, I wouldn't want Snoop himself, but Butter's point is interesting, and that is, how many people can you get outside of the tent to come in? Because I'm looking up, it's been a long time since Republicans had anybody interesting perform at anything or want to be seen with them. Interestingly, I didn't know this until I just looked it up. George W. Bush had Destiny's Child and Jessica Simpson in their heydays in 2001. That was the last time anybody interesting came. You know how far he fell from 2001 to 2005? It was Hillary Duff, JoJo, and Kelsey Grammer. Okay, you went from Destiny's Child and Jessica Simpson in her heyday to Hillary Duff, who, I was a big fan of Lizzie McGuire, but I was 7. Okay, and so from then on, it goes. You go very popular: Beyonce, Bruce Springsteen, Shakira.
Destiny's Child performed for George W. Bush?
George W. Bush.
Not H.W.
George W. Destiny's Child went.
Yeah, I know.
H.W. was like 88.
Yeah, I know.
Was Destiny's Child even around in 88?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
1990, active since 1990. Go ahead.
So, no, this is George W. 2001. And again, I'm Jessica Simpson. I've never heard her speak like a Republican. I can't imagine. But just back then, it wasn't nearly as divisive. Remember, Bill Clinton has a fairly Republican platform by today's standards. So, the different day and time. But look, Alicia Keys, Kelly Clarkson, and Beyonce to Obama. And then you go to Trump, and it was the Rockettes and Toby Keith. Toby Keith, the most pro-America guy ever. But that is...
Lee Greenwood didn't get it.
Yeah, right. So it's like, you go from this to that. this a little bit different deal when you can throw out headliners. And again, especially as a Christian, but just as a music consumer, I don't have anything to do with Snoop Dogg. But throwing out some of these more mainstream, saying Carrie Underwood's name across America, the woman who everybody hears her voice on the most popular television program in America on Sunday Night Football every single night, Carrie Underwood is an absolute superstar. For her to be performing at this is a huge deal. So that's a big tent. It's an important tent because she's not a Republican. She probably is a Republican, but has she ever come out? You know, it's the most I've ever heard her talk about is that she's a member of PETA. Okay, she's not exactly behind Republican.
She wouldn't like my pants then.
I'm trying to think of who. Again, I just got a line in the sand, and so I'm trying to think of who. I'd rather Usher than Snoop.
Me too, no question.
And
although, you know,
Usher's right there at the Diddy
with the Diddy
parties.
stuff and Justin Bieber, there's a lot of stories around that.
I don't know who could they get. Yeah, I would have went Kanye, but I'm trying to think of who in the mainstream.
Lil Wayne.
He did say Trump had never done anything to him.
Yeah, Lil Wayne probably would have performed.
Yes, I think so.
But yeah, he's not. 50 Cent's a bad live performance. I'm just telling you. They
saw him in the Super Bowl hanging upside down. He looked like he's 400 pounds.
They're
they're trashing.
lost some weight since then.
Yeah, they're trashing his. He's got some kind of residency in Vegas that they say is not very good.
Ice Cube.
Ice Cube, I
would have liked to see.
And he has one of the best anti-Trump songs ever made. Arrest the President, I think it's called.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's really good. And it would have been a backpedal for him as well. But yeah, I would have preferred Ice Cube. But
He's already started to make the turn. That's why. I think Ice Cube had these guys that had made the turn before November.
Yes.
Those are the guys that I'm more open to.
Me
Again,
too.
probably Snoop Dogg.
I'm gonna say this,
and
and people are gonna think I'm joking. Oh God, I can't believe this. It's a bad look for me, but I truly believe it.
I know it's coming.
I would have.
R. Kelly.
I would release R. Kelly temporarily.
Me too.
Put an ankle bracelet on him. It's how my cousin Kevin, he came to my grandfather's funeral years ago, and they had to get a but yeah, I would have released R. Kelly temporarily with an ankle bracelet.
What song would he perform?
A bunch.
I believe I
wish.
could fly.
I believe I could fly.
I wish. Chocolate Factory, one of the great songs.
Never heard of
it. He's got a buffet of songs.
Look, so all the white women could enjoy it'd be I Believe I Can Fly and Ignition. That'd be the two songs that he'd be out performing that everybody could enjoy.
Yeah, we would have loved that.
Yeah. Go
Could have
ahead.
even sang You Are Not Alone since he wrote that for Michael Jackson, right? Like, do whatever you want. You're R. Kelly, and you, like you said, he has a buffet. The fact that you use buffet, I don't know. But he does have a lot of songs, and I would have loved that. Do we think, like, I'm such a conspiracy theorist, do we think that the Democrats said, Snoop, okay, perform? Like, I don't know, it just feels manufactured to me. Like, everybody's thinking this is a kumbaya moment, and I just don't buy it.
I've not heard him say anything. It seems like a take a check moment. It's not like he's like, all right, guys, we're coming together. Nobody's heard a word out of him. People have heard a word out of Nelly.
Yes.
Nelly, he didn't just address it. At the end of what Nelly said, he's like, to the degree that you guys think he's a white supremacist, you're going to have to show me some evidence of that.
Mm-hmm.
Nelly went after it.
Yes.
Snoop hasn't. Snoop's taking a check.
Right.
I agree with Jason, though. This is Godfather. This is the Don. This is allowing him. Who was the mortuary guy? Who's the guy that came in and had to,
For opening scene where he had to make up Sonny after Sonny got killed.
Right.
He had to look what they did to my boy, and he had to make him look presentable to the mother.
He said, you hadn't come here at any other time until you need me. That's the Don. That's one of the things that I think, and you're seeing this right from the get-go. This guy is in expedition mode. This is going to happen fast. He knows he's on the clock. we spent, the last 6, 7, 8 years watching social media be one-dimensional, where other voices, people against, vaccines, people against Trump, you weren't allowed to have any open dialogue. This, to me, is symbolic, like, hey, come on in. As much as I agree with you guys, it's Snoop and there could have been some other people. This, to me, is Donald Trump saying right from the get-go, it's a new game, boys, let's go.
Do it with Snoop in the back of the train.
I'm going to move on. I'm going to move on, and because I want to talk about Joe Biden and these presidential pardons. And at some point, I'm going to get to Dave Chappelle's monologue on Saturday Night Live, which people are saying was anti-Trump. I don't see it that way. We'll talk about that in a second. But I want to move us to Joe Biden and the presidential pardons that he's issued leaving the door, exiting the door. He's pardoned the January 6th Commission. He's pardoned the police officers involved with January 6th. He's pardoned his family, I think, now. His whole
brother's wife. There's 5 members of his family.
Yeah.
Beyond Hunter.
Yeah. The January 6th Committee, Liz Cheney and Benny Johnson or Benny Thompson, or I can't remember the old black dude that was. They put him on the face of that committee. His name's Benny.
What Johnson?
Who's Benny
Johnson? Yeah, he's
on
a
our
conservative.
side.
He's on our side.
okay. Benny Thompson, I think is his name. Someone look it up. Make sure I'm got right. He's got wears glasses, huh?
Fauci's the big one.
Fauci
and Mark Milley.
Yeah, Mark Milley. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm obsessed with January 6th, and I want them people locked up.
Yep.
It's not going to happen. Or he's trying to preemptively stop it from happening. And this is all in an attempt to save democracy, because you got to remember, that's all the Democrats and Joe Biden have been doing is saving democracy. Mm-hmm. You have, again, the reason why they ran a presidential candidate who never secured a vote in the primaries, the reason why they eliminated Biden as the presidential candidate this year without a vote or anything, they just did it, was all of this is to save democracy. Mm-hmm. Preemptive pardons. So in order to save democracy, you have to destroy democracy first. That's how you save it. Mm-hmm. That is crystal clear at this point. It's comical to me that he's getting away with this, that he's setting standards that are unbelievable. As far as I know, and someone correct me in the chat, someone email me, these preemptive pardons, that's not been the standard. Hey, any crimes you may have committed your pardon from, this seems like, hey, presidents can hire people to commit crimes, give them preemptive pardons, and everything's all good. Blows my mind, sickens me. Particularly as it relates to January 6th. The only upside I see in this is that very soon, when Trump's done with all this pageantry and talking or whatever, start letting go of every single one of these January 6th people. I don't care if they took a flagpole and shoved it up some cop's rear end. Let them people out of jail. They've been in prison for 3 or 4 years. Yeah. Let them go. Absolutely every one of them. Trump, if all these people are preemptively free for whatever crimes they may have committed, we can certainly let these January 6 people free. Anybody hop in?
Looks like there may have obviously very different, but Gerald Ford preemptively pardoned Richard Nixon in '74 for any of crimes he may have committed during his presidential thing. So it hadn't been as though somebody brought charges forward yet, because that's typically when you would do the pardons, if the charges either go ongoing or you try to get them out of jail. There's the other one, Carter granted an amnesty to the Vietnam era draft dodgers. So none of them were caught yet. So there have been preemptive pardons. I think this should all get tied up in court immediately. I think tomorrow, Trump and the new DOJ should say, hey, who gets to pardon people before anybody has ever investigated what they may have done? You can't say, I don't care what they did, we don't even know about it, but they're free to do whatever, because all you're doing is incentivizing presidents to bring in people to do all of their dirty work so they don't have to do any of it, and then preemptively pardon as far back as you want to. So you get the people who have the most to lose that only you know about as the president. Okay, you've committed 600 murders, nobody knows it yet except for me. Here's what I need you to come do during my 4 years, and then I'll pardon you back to 1960 when you were born and you started committing these crimes.
Right.
Why can't you do that forever? Obviously, this seems like there's an issue here and something that should be tied up in the courts. And he should start tomorrow because it's going to take a long time to get there. And we need time to prosecute Anthony Fauci and put him in prison.
Exactly. And what's frustrating for me is that I feel like so many people are going to still see Joe Biden as the good person, as the innocent person. And they're going to say, oh, he has to do this because Trump is so evil that he's going to try to go after those innocent people because that's just how evil he is. They're not going to say, well, wait a minute. Why is he pardoning them if they really didn't do anything wrong? Because if they didn't do anything wrong, they should be fine. Mm-hmm. But they're not going to see it that way. And as someone who was there on January 6th, it has been very frustrating for me over the last 4 years because people act as if I wasn't there. Like I've had to deal with family that just see what's on the news. And I'm telling them like, no, we were having conversations, we were singing. It wasn't what the news played it up to be. Like I'm not saying people didn't do things wrong, but they really make it seem as if it was.
They didn't do anything wrong, Shemeka. You can say that on this show.
It wasn't a riot the way they claim that it was. They took a few little things and that's all they replayed over and over and over again. And so I've had to sit here, for the last 4 years, like, no, that's not what it was. No, that's not what it was. And people call me a liar as if I wasn't there. And it's like, guys, I was there in person, freezing cold, was supposed to speak at the Capitol that day. I'm telling you what I saw with my own eyes, but they have just run with what the news continued to play over and over. And it's been so frustrating for me. And I have people that I talk to, people that are my friends that were jailed, and I want them free.
Hold for 1 second. Let's go back to the feed. It looks like Carrie Underwood is maybe about to sing. Let's go to the feed.
For amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties, above the fruited plain, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
I didn't like the look in Joe Biden's eyes.
He's dead.
I was going to say.
What look?
He thought he was asleep on a beach in Delaware.
All right, Hadley, keep us updated on whatever's happening next. If Snoop Dogg may come light a blunt for everybody and they'll just pass a blunt around. Let us know if that's coming up. But hey, did anyone else want to hop in on? I'm sorry.
I had a thought about the January 6th thing because I've seen a lot of people very upset about these pardons. And how can you, if you guys can't simultaneously say that you're pro-police and then say that these people should all be pardoned? Say, yes, I can, because I've paid attention for the last 4 years, and I know that every one of these people have been overcharged, and the only way to make that right is to give them a pardon. Yes. So pretending that these people haven't been thrown under a prison and not been given a shred of justice for the last 4 years is ignorant.
Well, they're acting like there's no consequences. I'm like, hey, they've been sitting in prison for like 3.5, 4 years.
With no due process.
That's called consequence.
And a rigged job from all of these federal judges on the bench. We have evidence of all this. This is why it's so frustrating. I mean, you know that part of what Trump's been doing, I'm making an assumption here, but it's like you got a team of lawyers and you're like, I ain't got time to look at all this January 6th stuff. Looking at every single one of these things and looking at every single one of these judges and make sure that these corrupt people were not just throwing our people in jail for no reason because that's what they were doing. And we got evidence of all of it.
Right.
Now they're all pardoned. Anybody who's involved.
Didn't get something like ridiculous, the leader of the Proud Boys?
16, 20 years, some kind of, the man needs to be let go. All of these people need to be let go. Sarah McAbee's husband.
Owen Schroyer went to prison for having a megaphone outside.
Yes.
Speaking outside, that could have been you.
Right.
Go to prison?
It would have been me if I wasn't so cold. If I wasn't black.
You think that's worth prison time? Speaking outside of the Capitol? So yes, every single one. There's not one person, whether you hit a police officer or not, every last one of them should be pardoned today. The first, they're getting 200, 300 executive orders. The first one that goes out should be, you were involved in January 6th, you're out now.
Yes, Simone Gold was, we were on the same list to speak. She went inside the Capitol and she's that doctor that was one of the frontline doctors. She went and did her speech. That's all she stood inside and did. Like, okay, I wrote this speech, y'all are gonna hear it. I didn't care. But she went inside, she did her speech, and they came and raided her home, and she had to do time. And it's like, the woman just stood there and did her speech. Crazy.
What do we want to see over the next 4 years? What are like legitimate, beyond letting these people go, what are like legitimate goals, aspirations? How should the culture be changed over the next 4 years of this Trump presidency? What are our hopes and aspirations?
Well, I think tying that into what's happening with these pardons and where it goes from here, to me, the great thing is because of the way social media has been leveled, regardless of these pardons and the actual jail time or convictions that should or may have come along with this, we're going to get to expose what took place. The American people is going to be able to see what this administration did all the way back to Obama. I think the uprooting of Obama and this entire sort of level of government that they've had a stranglehold on, it doesn't matter. I understand the January 6th folks are a little bit different, but when you talk about who he's pardoning and where it goes from here, we're going to see this get exposed. And to me, that's just as good for the future of our country to see what these people were actually doing and what they were up to. We're going to get to see that put on display. And I think that's going to be just as effective as some of these people actually seeing jail time. We're going to know and see what happened.
That's a great point as it relates to hopefully Fauci and COVID. I'll piggyback onto that. Hasn't Trump said in the past 24 hours that the JFK files, the MLK files are all there's going to be a level of transparency to government that's unprecedented. Do we think he's going to be able to follow through with the release of JFK files, RFK, MLK? Do we buy that?
Yes, I do. Did you say RFK? All so there. He got to the point of doing it the first time, and I think it was Bill Barr who talked him out of it. He said, "Hey," it was his own attorney general, and he said, "I'm ready to do this." He said, "Hey, man, there's some people. It's going to cause some problems." So Trump got right up to it, and even if you remember during his campaigning, Trump said, "Hey, man, if you saw what I saw, I don't know if you'd release these either." And then eventually, I think RFK Jr. here was the turning point. He said, "Hey, man, that's my dad. We need these files out. That's my uncle. And the American people deserve to see this." And we're going to see one of two things, right? We're going to see either, Charlie Kirk was pointing this out the other day, either we overclassify everything, there's nothing to see here, and it's the dumbest thing in the world, why do we classify everything, in which we'll actually hopefully get real transparency moving forward. Or we see that the government killed RFK, JFK, and MLK, and now we got real problems to deal with. And that, I think, is more likely, and that's why Trump didn't release him the first time.
So let's say they release him, and it's the other way. It's like, oh, this should have never been classified. There was no big secret. I don't know if people will buy that.
I won't.
if they release some JFK stuff and it's kind of a nothing burger and it's like, well, it kind of looks like Lee Harvey Oswald did it. I ain't going.
Well,
for
Tucker,
that.
remember Tucker Carlson had said on his show when he was still on Fox, he's like, I know people who've directly seen the files. We now have seen the conclusive evidence that they killed JFK. Tucker's on the record saying that. So whether or not the files say what they say, there's enough people around that would dispute that who says they've seen it in the past.
Yeah, we have conclusive evidence that, we didn't go to the moon. And people still feel like we did.
We didn't go to the moon? I mean, I hear the talk.
You've been listening to Candace too much.
I hear the talk.
I mean, it looks very credible to me that we did not go, but that's how I feel.
But we didn't go to the moon?
I
went to the moon.
That's all.
Come on, we went to the
around on that one.
We went to the moon.
Is there no tooth fairy?
It makes me so angry that I just don't know. Depends on what I'm watching. I'm so movable on that.
Is there no Santa Claus? Is that what Shemeka?
Careful, I still got kids.
Good. The thing I'm most excited about here as it relates to Trump's presidency and what we're actually going to see is he's already started rolling the ball forward in the America First thing. And it's the people will talk about the individual things of, hey, we got to secure the border. That's America First. Great. And we got to lower taxes and fix the trade deficit. And so that's America First. But the reality is America First is such an all-encompassing idea, and it's an attitude. It's not just one thing or the other. Making Greenland part of the United States is America First. Talking about Canada, we should...
Where is Greenland, by the way?
Just north...
Buffalo or
northeast of... No, it's up northeast of...
Just north of Buffalo.
Yes. Northeast of Canada. So it's basically opposite side of Alaska, right? And so this is why he talks like 51st state or whatever. It is a huge geopolitical strategic point for trade and where the ship routes go and all sorts of stuff. Plus, there's an unbelievable amount of assets in the ground there.
I would like to make Chicago a part of the United States again. Could we do that?
That's what we need.
Well, we're taking back the Gulf of Mexico too, and the Panama Canal. We got some stuff going. But I'm just saying that it is an idea of moving America forward. Instead of worrying about the best interests of everybody else, for a change, we have a president who's like, no, this would be good for us, let's go do it. And you people of Greenland, you probably want to be Americans, right? Or do you want to stick with Denmark? Do you want to be part of Denmark or America? Take your pick. Yeah. You guys decide.
I may be asking for too much, but when I see all of these people getting these pardons, Fauci and the J6 committee or commission or whatever, what about Pookie and Ray Ray? Now, let me go a little bit further because we have a lot of felons in the country that maybe didn't do something so bad, that can't carry guns, that can't get jobs. Like, can we go and look at some of those cases? Maybe I'm asking for too much, but I feel like it's not fair that these white-collar crimes get to just skate on by, and then you have some people whose lives have really been changed and, decimated, and they're struggling to move forward even though they've already paid the time or whatever. I feel like we need to do something about that, because when you do your time, you go get a job, are you a convicted felon? I mean, we have some people that are really struggling in that way, and I don't think it's fair for the common man if these people just get to do whatever and be pardoned.
Well, what my concern is once we start removing, well, now you're not a convicted felon, it's like everybody, it's like, oh, I got one mulligan. I get to go out and do some felons, and then I get it erased as long as, I'm on
do some felons or commit some felonies. That's a different sort of. I don't want you doing any felons, Jason.
What I'm hoping I'm in the same lane as you, Shemeka, where I'm about to go, because didn't I read something where they're talking about for men in terms as it relates, if you pay child support, that man gets to claim you on your taxes while the person receiving child support doesn't. Have I heard something about Trump changing the divorce laws or maybe bending the rule? I feel like there needs to be some things done to empower men. And I go all the way back to the Moynihan report in the mid-1960s. That's where I would like to take a mulligan. That you know, we're at an inflection point in America, and we were at one in the 1960s, and we chose, Daniel Patrick Moynihan was like, hey, look, let's invest in the black man and the black family. And Democrats and the media said, no, that's racist. And we have to destroy the family and empower the single black woman. And again, I know I'm dreaming way too big, but I wish that we could just even have that conversation during the Trump administration of like, hey, we need to invest in family. We need to acknowledge that for 60 years, we've gone the other direction of investing in the destruction of family and individuals families, and we need to go the other way. How do we balance divorce laws? How do we incentivize people staying married? How do we reward people for getting married? How do we reward men for committing to their families rather than reward women for abandoning the family structure?
Yeah.
Just if we could have that conversation.
Yeah, because I heard that was not the truth as far as that whole tax thing. But I do think something should be done, like it should be looked into, because I personally, I don't feel like a woman should get child support if you weren't married. Because to me, you didn't do the first step in ensuring that your child would be taken care of to start with. Like, to me, don't have a baby out of wedlock. And if you do, that is your responsibility. Mama's baby, daddy's maybe. I don't feel like women should just say, well, I'm gonna have this child regardless. I get that both parties laid down and made the decision and had unprotected sex, but I have seen it weaponized against men. And I do think something should be done so women can't weaponize that. You know, weaponize the child support. And you both say, well, we don't want it, but then the woman knows, oh, well, I can force you to do child support. And if I can't make it, the government will help me out. But if you can't make it, they're sending you to jail. I just don't think that's fair. So for me, if you go out here and you have a baby out of wedlock, it's your responsibility. I don't think the man should have to carry that weight. Do the first step. Marry before you carry, or be ass out. That's just my feeling.
Marry before you carry or be ass out. That sounds like a campaign slogan that Shemeka will be running for president on in 2028. Anybody else got any other hopes and aspirations?
I got something. Jason, throughout your career, being in the situations that you've been in, you've probably had some agents, or you've had some lawyers, you've had people representing you. When you negotiate contracts or you get involved in things, those people speak on your behalf. I think what America could do some good is to realize that Donald Trump is the American agent. He's my agent. He's your agent. He's speaking on our behalf to the world, and he's going to go out and get things for us that we might not normally have been able to ask for or felt comfortable asking for ourselves, just like an agent might have. And I think sometimes that makes people uncomfortable, and that's what I would encourage people to do, is to allow somebody to represent you and put you first, and to put your needs and America's needs first, and not let that be a bad thing, not let that be an intimidating thing, because a lot of the MAGA people and conservatives understand the importance of that. But I would say to the Democrats and the liberals, it's okay and needed to take care of yourself first. When the airplane is having trouble and the masks come down, they say put your mask on first and then help the other people around you. Let Donald Trump be our agent. Let him represent this country, and let this man do what he set out to do.
Well, who are you talking to? Because the average person would say, well, I have no choice. He's the president.
I'm saying in the way that you accept his mannerisms and his aggressive way of going after putting America first, I think put some people, that's one of the complaints that they've had about him, is his approach to putting America first. Not to a lot of people that support him, but I think to the Democrats, that type of tone and aggressiveness, they use that, I think, as a counterweight against him. I'm suggesting, let's let this man go do this. It's going to make our country better and
Let
stronger.
Trump cook.
Yeah, let him cook.
That's your slogan for 2025.
Let him cook.
That's going to be hard for a lot of leftists because they'll be like, well, I want fried chicken and mashed potatoes, and he's going to cook steak and potatoes, or I don't know. It's just he's going to make pizza, or he's going to make it. It's not what I want cooked, and many people have been convinced that America should eat last and should eat whatever the white man finds distasteful. And so as long as Donald Trump is president, it's like, he ain't gonna put enough seasoning salt on that. You know, he don't cook the way that I like it. And there'll be those of us who'll be like, hey man, I just want it to be healthy. I don't care what it tastes like. I just want it to be healthy because I've had enough fried chicken for 3 lifetimes, and I just let RFK Robert let RFK get in there and cook, and some of this stuff ain't gonna taste the way that you want it, but it's exactly what we need, and that's how I feel about Donald Trump. I don't care how he cooks. I don't care really how he talks. I care about the meal and whether or not I feel like it's going to help me.
Well, and that's why I actually think people are more open to this presidency than the last. This, taking it back to Snoop, might be why Snoop feels comfortable enough performing, Nelly and some of the others. When Cenk Uygur, Zink as you call him,
I think Zink is better than calling him Chink. Chink sounds high risk, and I can be called racist for that.
Cenk. It's an E. C-E-N-K. Cenk.
That sounds like Chink.
It sounds like chink to me too.
Yeah, that's why I say Sink.
Not Zink. I know that. Okay.
I say Sink. Sink or Zink or whatever. Anyway.
Cenk.
Yeah.
Who is
very
as
racist. TJ said that, not me.
Yes, I did.
Go ahead.
As left as you could possibly be with the Young Turks. He's actually come out and been like, this is a populist movement. Most of us hate the establishment. I mean, a lot of us on the left hate the establishment, Bernie Sanders included. There's been several things, none I can think of off the top of my head, that Bernie has come out and been like, yeah, I'm for that. That's a good thing. Let's follow through on that. And Cenk, one of the things that he came out, I don't know if it was Trump directly, but it was the Trump campaign that came out at one point and said, hey, we got to stop letting these generals move directly from the DOD and go straight into the military contractors so that they give billions of dollars from taxpayer money to a company, and then they go get paid off to be part of that company. We got to stop that. We should make the 10-year seasoning period. And Cenk's like, that's amazing. Well, why should I hate Donald Trump for that? That's a fantastic idea. I've seen way more of that this term already than I had in 2016. It was Trump, everything, anti-Trump. Our own side was never Trumpers back then. How many never Trumpers exist besides the Lincoln Project?
Yeah.
Yes. They don't exist. There aren't any never Trumpers. They've all come around. I mean, even
Bill Kristol is in
Liz
here?
Cheney.
Yeah.
You got a few.
It's a few.
Look, they're all the people that would have gone to jail if it weren't for Joe Biden's preemptive pardons, all right? Those are the never Trumpers. There just aren't very many. So I think a lot of this populist movement resonates in a big way. I'll tell you another thing. I go down to Mexico every year for vacation usually, and you talk to some of those people, and do you know how many people I heard say, yeah, Trump just seems like he wants to put America first. I get it. I want to put Mexico first. That's what a lot of we're conditioned to believe everybody hates America and they think we're horrible and we owe the whole world reparations. They don't think that. They think Mexico should do what's best for Mexico and America should do what's best for America. That seems like Trump wants to do that.
One of the most impactful thing Trump said during his inauguration speech today, within the last hour, was the biggest line he got for applause was he said that he was saved by God to make America great again. Do you believe he actually believes that?
Yes. Do I think he has an authentic relationship with Jesus Christ? No. Do I think when you face death and it's a centimeter from occurring, that you start having some real different thoughts than you've had your whole life? Absolutely. And when you see, hey, there was another guy when I was playing golf in the bushes that was real close to taking me out. And every time something seems to be happening to me, they missed by this much. My own secret security, my own personally hired security didn't catch this guy in the bushes, and I'm still alive? Yeah, there's a God. And I think when you get older, you start thinking that too. I just think, hey, look, my body's not working as well. Everybody wants to kill me. Like, is there something more than just building big buildings and putting my name on it? Yeah, I think probably so. I think he's there.
I actually do think that he believes he was saved by God, and I do think that that probably caused a change in him, a deep, real, authentic change. If nothing more, just to then kind of put things in perspective and to start looking deeper if he had never done it before. So, you know.
Some people could think, I'm just playing devil's advocate. Some people could think they're saved by God because they're a narcissist and they're that important. And I had to be saved in order to save America.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to those people?
That's good. I'm glad. Because, like, I don't care if you're, because it's a step forward. Like, if we think that he had no type of real relationship or religion, I don't know, I just feel like it's an open door. And if the door is open, there's opportunity there. And so for me, I wouldn't care if he felt that way. Just allow yourself to continue to build a relationship with God and get to know him possibly and know him for yourself, not what everyone else says about him. I don't know, there's an open door for me, and so I'm open to it.
My piece would be all this judging of motives leads to bad conclusions, leads to uninformed conclusions. This whole judging of what his motives are or whatever is pointless, I think. And so I quit worrying about what his motives are, what most people's motives are. I tend to look at, and this was to me my first big payoff from Donald Trump. And I just went with Trump on instincts in 2015. It's kind of like, yeah, that's that dragon energy we need. And we need someone that's like, I don't care, he's just authentic. But when the guy said, hey, I'm gonna put 3 Supreme Court justices on and we're gonna end Roe v. Wade, and then he did it, he don't gotta be perfect for me, for me to recognize God is clearly using him to accomplish something, and he just accomplished something real and significant there as it relates to abortion in a nation that had federalized this whole abortion issue, and so many people have, on the left, have seen this abortion issue as the defining right of their existence, and it's just like it further took the scales off my eyes. Like, wow, God is using Trump, as flawed and as screwed up as he is, because he is flawed and screwed up. But he's using him to expose a level of wickedness that you haven't been aware of. And so every time I see these people, when the abortion truck showed up at the Democrat convention and I saw all these protests and women dressing up as vaginas and, fake blood spots and all this other stuff that they got to kill their babies. I was like, oh. It opened my eyes like, wow, this is a demonic cult going on over here, and I didn't fully recognize it. So Trump's motives are just not as relevant as what is he doing. His whole overall thing, and particularly the things we talked about as it relates to, if he releases these JFK files and RFK files and MLK And holy cow, has he said anything about 9/11?
Building 7. I want to see the files.
Yeah. But it's like, oh, he's being used to take scales off people's eyes so they can really see what's going on, and that's important. So I don't, what his relationship is like with Jesus Christ, I could only speculate. What he's being used to accomplish, I feel like I can do a tiny bit more than speculate.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're in Scripture every day trying to create a culture that Matthew 5 tells us to create, and we're looking at one side who's doing exactly the opposite of that, and we're looking at a guy who everybody tells us is really flawed, but he's got a set of balls that are dragging about 60 feet behind him in a trailer and doesn't care what anybody else thinks about anything, and he's actually executing these things in the Bible. So we should be doing these things. I don't care how flawed, I really don't. And we've been saying it for a very long time, and when people called us nuts because, we were saying it during the Access Hollywood tapes. I don't know, man. I think God might be using this guy. Yeah, but he's going to grab her by the... I don't know, man. I'm just telling you. He's going to be used by this guy. So that's what I think about that. Did you ever answer the what you're most excited about for Trump's term?
No.
January 6th is the obvious. Okay, but he's going to do that today. Now what? You gave your vote for one reason.
Hold for 1 second, though. I think Biden and Harris, are they flying off in a helicopter? Let's go to the inauguration feed. Trump and his crew look like they're getting to watch Biden and Harris leave the
And now we
zeitgeist,
should
hopefully
see
forever.
The next group walking towards the helicopter. Yep, there they go.
Yeah, this is Biden and I think Harris, or one of them.
Yeah.
This is Trump making
Is that Jill? She's wearing something.
I imagine that's
Or is
more
that
than
Trump?
a
I
mask.
think that's Melania. I think that's her in the hat. That's Trump.
Bobby
Melania.
Pins galore.
Melania.
Melania has on blue. Yeah.
Who's got on the purple coat?
That's Jill.
Jill Biden, yeah.
That's Trump and
never
Melania
stop
and
serving
Jill and Joe.
Your country.
They're escorting them to the helicopter. Get out of town. Hit the road, Jack. Don't come back no more. Oh, this is
The
awesome.
Harris's and Biden's, but rest assured,
They're just seeing them
never
off.
Yeah.
There you go.
Y'all have
stop serving
any
your country. So
Hold for 1 second. What were you about to ask, Butter?
Just, do you have any nerves about this whole time period and sort of the attempts potentially coming against Donald at this point, or do you feel like you're past that? Like when I'm watching him out in the open here.
I ain't worried about it.
I got the same thoughts.
God will jump in front of any bullet or send someone to jump in front of any bullet. I'm not worried about it.
I definitely feel like there may be some attempts, but I am like, whatever happens, happens. I do feel like God is in control. But can we just talk about Melania's outfit?
Please, go ahead.
She is the most well-dressed first lady I would say that we've ever had. I know people love Jacqueline Kennedy, and, so did I when I look back at it. But I love to see Melania step out. She always looks top-rate first class. By the way, Melania, if you ever hear this, I would be willing to take your hand-me-downs, and I am one of the black women that could actually fit it.
There are only 3.
4 out of 5 are overweight, so I'm...
You and Tamron Hall, y'all can fight over.
I am thrilled, actually, that we don't have to just pretend that Jill Biden is attractive in any way whatsoever, that she should be on Vogue magazine or anything else. We did the same thing for Michelle Obama. These are not attractive people. They're both actually pretty disgusting. And now...
That's strong. Disgusting is strong.
I've seen them.
Disgusted.
Did you see the picture of Michelle Obama on her birthday? I saw it. Sent it to
The picture
Shemeka.
on the birthday was rough. But
look,
when
Jill's
she was
gross
first
too.
lady, I thought she presented herself really. I liked her. I didn't like her bottom teeth, like her jaw or something.
Yeah.
But she looked good when she stepped out at first lady. Like inauguration, she looked great to
Have
me.
you ever seen the picture of her back walking into? It's something they send out all the time. I can't tell if that's AI or if it's real. There's a picture that floats around. Looks like she got Mike Tyson's back, and I can't tell if it's real or fake. But
guys, she's not an attractive person.
Like the one where she's in the white
That's
pants.
strong.
and
Nothing.
something
What do you mean it's strong? Not an attractive person is the nicest way I could have possibly said that.
Not attractive to you.
I think she's
Some people
objectively
find
not
her
attractive.
very attractive. I don't think she's an ugly woman. Or
You don't think Michelle's an ugly woman?
no, I don't think she's ugly.
You think she's an attractive woman? Because I said she's not attractive.
I don't think
You think she's a woman?
ugly. I think
Butter, Michelle Obama's probably your type. You know, tall, long legs.
Manhandle you.
Where are you gonna come to? You gonna weigh in on TJ's attractive or unattractive? I'm just drawing you.
I think she's got a thing.
I just want a meme of you.
She's got a thing, and that could be taken a lot of different ways. She's got a thing. She does. Take it how you want.
That's good, Butter. I'm just saying, we had sort of the standard of beauty, just perform. Was it America the Beautiful that she just did? Or whatever Carrie Underwood's song, we heard it. There it is, and then we also now have, we had Jill Biden leave at the same time. Now, you tell me that Jill Biden was an attractive person. Go ahead.
Well, no, let's be, back when she was a babysitter, there's some old pictures of Jill Biden that you could see what Joe was attracted to.
Let's just have an honest conversation here. Women don't age well, okay? I've never seen an old woman who could be the first lady, because we don't, unless J.D. Vance and Usha, and we don't have young presidents anymore. They're all geriatrics.
Mm-hmm.
There is no woman who could generally be attractive. How much younger is Melania than Donald?
25 years, let's say.
That's why she looks nice. When she's 86, we won't be talking about how nice Melania looks anymore.
depends on how much work she has.
Who was the last, I guess it's gotta be Jackie O is the last attractive first lady, huh?
Until Melania,
Yeah.
I would say.
Women just, look, and I don't know anything about black women, so I'll just tell you about white women. Their hair gets real, like, this is why they cut it real short. Their hair gets all to where you can break it off. Women don't age well. Men age way better than women. I see it all the time.
It's because y'all don't have the same standards. Because women have the pressure to actually still look like, I don't know, Barbie dolls. Men don't have that. So like when you go to lose your hair or get a big stomach, women are not as hard on men saying, you know, you still need to look like a Ken doll.
Mm. I still think women.
Thank God
think
for that.
Men do age. I do think men look better the older they get, but there's a cutoff. You know, I don't know if y'all know it, but there is a cutoff. But I just think we're more forgiving.
TJ, I'd love to have this conversation with you when we're not on camera.
Have it on camera.
I want to go home tonight.
Open, authentic show.
Feel comfortable in my house.
Melania's 54. There are attractive 54-year-olds.
Well, your wife is like
There are
12.
not attractive. How old's Jill?
She's got to be
73.
73. Is that what?
Yeah, 73. And we're supposed to.
Body-wise, though, Chef Babette, look at her body. 74 years old. I'm
I don't
telling
know
you.
who Chef Babette is.
Pull her up. Chef Babette, and she's 74. Now, in the face, you can tell that she has aged, but body goes crazy.
When we get back to Donald Trump, I want to move to Dave Chappelle. Last topic before.
It doesn't age. It fits in.
Last topic before we get out of here. I want to move to Dave Chappelle. He did his Saturday Night Live monologue, 16 minutes, 17 minutes this weekend. A lot of people, he talked about empathy and he took Donald Trump to task and he did this or that. I want to play just a small excerpt, very short, of Dave Chappelle talking about empathy for the Palisades and Palestine.
Please, all of us, do better next time. Do not forget your humanity, and please have empathy for displaced people, whether they're in the Palisades or Palestine.
Dave's getting a lot of credit for his monologue on Saturday Night Live. Here he is, before that, I think, taking a shot at Donald Trump. Let's play that clip.
Man, remember, whether people voted for you or not, they're all counting on you. Whether they like you or not, they're all counting on you. The whole world is counting on you. And I mean this when I say this. Good luck.
So everybody is saying, oh, he went after Trump and he talked about empathy and blah, 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 this, that, and the third. I heard it, and you guys, I want you to talk. I'm going to the bathroom here in a second, but I want you to talk amongst yourself while I'm away. I heard this differently. Dave Chappelle is a Muslim. I thought his big point here was Palestine, and he covered that by saying he took a shot at Donald Trump. But his real issue here was he wanted to take a shot at Zionists, and he wanted to defend Palestine because he's a Muslim. How did the rest of y'all hear it?
Yeah. No, I would say I kind of agree with that simply because we do know where he would stand possibly as a Muslim. And I do think he has said things about the Jews in the past that kind of flew under the radar a little bit. And he hasn't been shut down completely by saying those things. So I do think he's going to continue to inch out there and say what he can about Jews as long as, you know, they're not coming after him. I don't feel like he's really gone that hard against Trump.
Justin, let's turn that mic off.
Or let's leave it on.
Let's see how much control he has.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be Kanye. In fact, during during the Kanye stuff, he came out and did a Netflix special and addressed it. And he said, I knew he was in trouble when he said two words you can never put together.
Right.
The and Jews. Okay, we all understood. So Chappelle is, you know, Muslim, black, and a history of going against the grain. What's that tell you? We already knew where he stood on this. He didn't need to tell us.
Right.
So I think, you know, I think he's very clever and he's wickedly smart. That is his deal. Where he, yeah, there we go again. That is where he'll never go Kanye. Kanye is the out there, let's just get after it, whatever happens, happens, and lose your billions of dollars. Or, well, Chappelle's way too smart for that. He's lost his money once before. He's not going to do it again.
I've seen Chappelle talking about Trump, where Trump came out and was talking about the tax code and how he's used the tax code and Hillary's people used the tax code. I've seen Chappelle run the whole gamut of Trump sort of positionings. I take it as this is another great example of what is about to take place and already started. Doesn't matter what Chappelle's opinion is. Doesn't matter if he's for or against. The tide is completely changing. We've seen him over the last couple years take different approaches to Donald Trump. Donald's got the ball now. He's got court. Next, Donald Trump. It's his ball, it's his game, let's go. Say all you want.
Well, while you're saying say all you want, I would like to say Jason and I are a little closer now than we were 2 minutes ago.
What?
We can hear you in the bathroom.
Oh. What is? I don't get the joke.
What do you mean?
We can hear you.
We can hear you in the bathroom.
When you went to the bathroom.
My bad.
It's not a joke.
Yeah. Well, I'm back. Anyway, go ahead. I was listening.
I think he finished up. The bottom line is Chappelle has done a really good job of, again, dude's just really smart. When it was time to go against the grain and everybody hated Trump, he made it pretty clear he didn't have real problems with Trump. He's like, what's his deal? Everybody's leaving? Nah, man, I think I'm gonna stay here and take this check, okay? He's a go against the grain guy, and I agree with your general idea. He took his half shot at Trump, and that was hey, nobody wants a petty president. He was calling him petty. I'm not so sure you can even argue that. Is that a shot or is that just an observation where Trump's been pretty petty at different times? He took his little shot and then he made his point and he walked down this, you heard us, we were talking about Kanye. He didn't say, hey, Kanye, you're wrong, how dare you do that? He said, hey, Kanye, don't use those two words together. It's gonna get you in big trouble, buddy.
It's what I find fascinating is that Saturday Night Live keeps having him on and it's like, hey, Go on here and pretend that you hate Trump just a little bit, or take a little shot at Trump. And then you're free to say whatever you want to say. Whatever pleases your little Muslim heart's content, say that. And so he went on Saturday Night Live and said, let me tell you a story about why Jimmy Carter was a great man. I'm not going to tell you why he was a great president. I'm not qualified. But he was a great man because everybody in Palestine loved him. That's what he said. That's a direct shot at Israel. That's a direct shot at Jews. And then he came back and said, and Mr. President, when you get in the office, make sure you have empathy for Palisades and Palestine. It's as clear as day. And that is when we sit here, and the reason I wanted to have this conversation, when we sit here and say, what's been Trump's impact on the world? And man, has he shifted the Overton window. Man, has he given people a confidence to say things they normally wouldn't say. I see it all over X. I see it all over YouTube. I just watched last night. Y'all know this Matt Kim dude? This Matt Kim, and he goes on with this other Korean dude. Holy cow, man, they will talk about any and everything, and they just say it with their chest out. And I was like, man, this is the Trump effect, and it's why it's Butters asking the question, do we feel safe? Do we feel confident that Trump is going to survive? I'm not so sure. And because what he has set off, the level of authenticity, transparency, people being able to be critical of Israel without being immediately canceled or destroyed, that's unprecedented to me in the last 60, 70 years. And there are going to be people that are going to try to stop that, and they're going to hold Trump responsible. The whole fake news deal, the whole, hey, I'm going to release these files and that files, and we're going to operate in a transparent way. And I'm going to, if I think Haiti's a S-hole, or I think it's a dump, or if I think, who is it, Roseanne? It's not Roseanne. It's, who did he get into it with? Rosie O'Donnell. I think she's a fat pig. I'm going to say it, Bob. He's destroyed political correctness and made people, and it's just like, I was watching Matt Kim and his guy, last night, they started talking about Judeo-communism. And I was like, whoa. They're just talking about this, and the Matt Kim seems really super duper American and super duper patriotic and super duper, hey, I'm just going to talk about the stuff we talk about privately, and I'm just going to do it out in public. And that has not been the case. And when we sit here today and Elon Musk owns X or Twitter, and people are upset about that, and Elon Musk has gone to war with the ADL, Donald Trump has been a force, and everybody, there's a lot of people that want to ignore all the dominoes that have fallen because of Donald Trump, and all the conversations that have been legalized or more mainstream because of Donald Trump. People want to tiptoe around that. And I think over the next 4 years, it's going to be harder and harder to tiptoe around that. And it'll be interesting where we end up, where we land. I want to thank anybody got any final thoughts before I let us go? I'm done here, I think.
Go Ohio State.
Oh, yeah. Go Ohio State. Go Notre Dame, I think is who I'm rooting for.
Go Shemeka Michelle.
Shemeka, you look like Pam Grier today. Your afro's out, your natural hair's out. Shemeka's recorded are y'all gonna green screen this song before Shemeka gets out of here? Have we decided that?
I think so.
Yeah, Shemeka's written a hilarious song that I can't wait to share with you guys. All right, happy Donald Trump Day, happy MLK Day, happy Monday, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Waiting for the countdown, coming off the breakdown, standing in line for freedom. Looking for a breakout, feeling like like freedom. Came like a fighter, striking like a ladder, making all this moves for freedom. I want freedom. No negotiation, my sister, no relation. We all just wanna have freedom. Sitting on a corner, never been alone. I'm breaking my back for freedom. Blessed, we are living, get back. We are receiving, all deceiving. We all wanna be free. We want freedom. I wanna be. I just